There are people who were never meant to become heroes, yet fate forces them to be. And Wang Lin is one of them. Born into an ordinary family, he carried a simple wish in his heart to cultivate immortality and repay his parents' kindness. But the world is never that kind. No talent, no background, no guidance, everything seemed to whisper to him, the path of cultivation is not for you. Yet in the midst of that hopelessness, Wang Lin chose something that very few have the courage to do. He kept going. He walked forward with stubbornness. He walked forward with longing. He walked forward with everything left in his resilient heart. A strange opportunity came to him, opening a path of cultivation drenched in blood and loneliness. There, every improvement required a sacrifice. Every step forward meant losing something precious. To grow stronger, he had to endure 100 times more than ordinary people. Renegade Immortal is the tale of a man who never submits. A man willing to defy the heavens, defy fate, and defy the world just to protect what his heart refuses to let go. This is not merely an immortal cultivation story. This is the journey of a soul so powerful that even eternity must bow. And today, I invite you to step into that journey, the journey of Wang Lin, the man who walks against the will of heaven to find the answer meant for himself. This must be the spirit cleansing gourd, third senior brother said proudly after taking a pill and eating one. He looked at the gourd in his hand and said, "That's right, this was personally refined by the founding ancestor." Only 3 people in the entire sect possess this spirit cleansing gourd. With this treasure in hand, there's no need to waste effort refining, and thus, we can absorb the immortal realm's energy at the fastest speed. Wang Lin's divine consciousness involuntarily focused on the gourd, his heart trembling. This gourd was definitely a rare treasure. If he had it, he could save time refining and naturally absorb more immortal realm energy. A cold smile appeared on his lips. Judging by the attire of these 2, they must be disciples of the Great Luo Sword sect. Since he had already made enemies with this sect, he had to find a way to seize this treasure. Both of them were at the early stage of the God transformation realm, but the 6th disciple was clearly a newly transformed God transformation cultivator, his cultivation not yet stable. However, these 2 must possess powerful magical artifacts, making it difficult to steal them. Wang Lin pondered, refraining from acting rashly and waiting for an opportunity. After retrieving the gourds, the 2 brothers discussed something and then flew towards another cave entrance. The path here was winding. If Wang Lin's divine sense hadn't focused on them, it would have been difficult to follow them. After walking for a long time, the 3rd disciple suddenly stopped, staring into the distance with a strange expression on his face. In the distance, within their sight, they saw a skeleton. This skeleton leaned against the cave wall, holding a glowing aura in its hand, flickering intermittently. Wang Lin swept his divine sense over it, raising an eyebrow, feeling that this skeleton was somewhat peculiar. The human skeleton was white, which should have changed color over time, and moreover, it should have been corroded, but there was no such phenomenon. It remained almost intact. In the skeleton's hand was a glowing object, unexpectedly enveloped in a wisp of immortal energy, clearly an extraordinary item. However, for some reason, Wang Lin sensed something was amiss, his gaze slightly pensive as he examined it. His 3rd senior brother's eyes flashed, and he said, "6th junior brother, go up and see what that glowing object in the skeleton's hand is." 6th junior brother hesitated, then nodded and approached the skeleton. Just as he poked his head out, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he felt the danger even more acutely. At that moment, his 3rd senior brother suddenly shouted, "Retreat." As he spoke, he waved his hand, and the sword behind him immediately flew up, like an arrow, hurtling straight into the space in front of 6th junior brother. The skeleton shattered into pieces with a loud bang, leaving nothing behind. A halo of light rose, and a tiny thread suddenly flashed, flying straight towards 6th junior brother's forehead. At that moment, the sword energy approached, and the priest, somewhat unwillingly, let out a roar, suddenly turning around and slipping into a side entrance of the cave, disappearing without a trace. This scene was as fast as lightning. 6th junior brother's forehead was covered in sweat. He stared at 3rd senior brother without saying a word. 6th junior brother chased after him. 3rd senior brother's eyes showed immense joy as he threw out a command and flew quickly towards the cave entrance. 6th junior brother hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and chased after him. "Senior brother, what was that?" We're lucky. If I'm not mistaken, that thing is the immortal beast's food, the thing that immortal beasts love most. That means it exists here, and there are probably immortal beast spirits around here. That skeleton was definitely ambushed and devoured by this beast. As you can see, junior brother, I only just discovered it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you go there. Third senior brother explained while pursuing. That's a plant-based immortal beast. It looks incredibly powerful. If it had attacked me just now, I'm afraid I would have been reduced to a pile of bones like that skeleton, junior brother Lou said slowly, his eyes flashing as he lowered his head. Junior brother, there's no need to panic. That thing relies entirely on its attacks, so it doesn't have any magical abilities. Moreover, it's extremely afraid of magical abilities. As long as it didn't enter your body just now, dealing with it won't be too difficult. You just need to swing your sword, and you'll definitely cut it in half. Senior brother 3 laughed heartily. While the two pursued, Wang Lin followed behind, his eyes flashing. He chuckled inwardly. The two senior brothers looked like close and affectionate fellow disciples, but with Wang Lin's discerning eye, he instantly realized that senior brother 3's intentions were truly unpredictable. It was clear that this same person had just discovered the anomaly, so he ordered his junior disciple to go ahead and investigate while he stayed outside and discovered the so-called immortal beast's abundance. Wang Lin followed at a steady pace, his divine consciousness intently observing the area ahead. At this moment, the two brothers were still pursuing the creature into a cave, penetrating deeper and deeper. The third senior brother couldn't help but worrying. Although he had been here once before, he had never ventured so deep into the immortal beast's mansion as this. Should they continue the pursuit? Just then, Wang Lin's divine consciousness saw the immortal beast's abundance flowing down, suddenly flashing and disappearing into a small, fist-sized underground cave. Wang Lin followed closely behind, his expression instantly changing. He saw countless threads densely covering the cave walls. Some threads were fixed to the wall, while others swayed slowly. Inside this small cave was a white jade stone. A thick, pungent immortal aura emanated from it. Beside the jade stone lay a skeleton, its face dark and emitting a faint, ominous light. The corpse wore tattered clothes, but on its chest was a golden iron plate, occasionally emitting waves of oppressive power. In its hand was a precious sword, its shape identical to the immortal sword Wang Lin had seen in the illusion. Furthermore, Wang Lin clearly saw a black thread moving back and forth on the skeleton, each movement causing the bones to tremble as if alive. Wang Lin paused briefly, then quickly retreated without hesitation, finding a hidden spot. He potted his storage bag and immediately took out the forbidden spanner. The forbidden's barrier vibrated, enveloping his body and transforming into a wall-like structure. Third senior brother, chasing ahead, also released his divine consciousness and immediately detected something unusual within the small cave. His body instantly stopped, his face suddenly turning pale. There were likely tens of thousands of immortal realm resources inside. At this moment, sixth junior brother also noticed this scene, his expression turning grim. The two exchanged glances and slowly retreated. But suddenly, the priest shot out from a small hole, transforming into streaks of silver light that shot like arrows directly at the two. Third senior brother's face changed drastically. Almost without hesitation, he shouted, "Dual swords descend!" His precious sword flew up and suddenly slashed downwards. At the same time, sixth junior brother gritted his teeth, his precious sword also flying up and flashing down. Immediately, two streams of sword energy, like giant dragons, alternately roared and surged. The entire priest in front vanished. The sword energy struck the cave, instantly creating a hole about 3 meters wide. The power of these two swords caused the already unstable immortal beast mansion to collapse in several places. From the middle of the hole, more and more priests emerged. Among them was a particularly noticeable black priest. "Go!" Third senior brother said, immediately retreating, sixth junior brother following closely behind, his heart filled with dread and fear. Their retreat was clearly too late. They had only taken a few steps when the priests swarmed after them like a tidal wave. Seeing they were about to be struck, third senior brother's eyes flashed with cruelty, and without a word, he unleashed a palm strike to sixth junior brother's back. Sixth junior brother spun around, his eyes showing a mocking expression, his right hand reaching forward to grab third senior brother's arm, coldly laughing. "Third senior brother, What do you want to do?" After saying this, his entire aura suddenly changed. Originally just a cultivator who had just entered the nascent soul realm, his cultivation instantly increased, revealing the strength of a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. Third senior brother was seized, his face filled with terror, before the other person snatched his storage bag and treasured sword, then threw him straight behind him. "You!" Third senior brother was terrified. Before he could finish speaking, a huge swarm of priests rushed in and entered his body. Almost instantly, the body of a nascent soul cultivator was reduced to a pile of white bones. His primordial spirit immediately flew out of his body, but at this moment, sixth junior brother's eyes flashed. He chanted incantations, and several spells appeared in the air, blocking the primordial spirit. The spirit paused for a moment, losing its chance to escape. At that moment, the black priestess behind him, like a flash of lightning, burrowed into the person's primordial spirit. After circling around once, the person's primordial spirit immediately became sluggish and was completely devoured by the other priests. "Excuse me, senior brother." Junior brother Lu's consciousness saw the scene and moved much faster. Thanks to senior brother's protection from behind, he seized the opportunity to escape. As junior brother Lu passed by Wang Lin's hiding place, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, but he didn't move. After junior brother Lu rushed past Wang Lin, a moment later, countless priests also chased after him, rushing towards Wang Lin's hiding place, making him extremely tense. The priests flashed in the air, and in an instant, they flew rapidly towards junior brother Lu's escape route. After the priests passed, Wang Lin rushed towards the hole created by the sword energy in the cave wall. Like lightning, he appeared inside the cave in the blink of an eye. Immediately, a few more priests appeared on the wall, attacking him. Wang Lin snorted softly, the forbidden banner in his hand trembled, and his body was instantly enveloped in a black mist. Knowing time was of the essence, he didn't hesitate any longer, and from a distance, he snatched the flying sword from the skeleton's hand. But at that moment, the flying sword suddenly flashed with immense pressure, and Wang Lin's hand felt as if it had been stabbed, instantly revealing a cluster of tiny blood spots. He was startled and quickly withdrew his hand. At this time, the priests outside the cave had also turned back, led by the strange black priest. Seeing this, Wang Lin's divine consciousness released the flying sword and, from a distance, grabbed the jade stone above. The jade stone immediately fell into his hand. He decided to discard the iron fan on the corpse's chest and, with the fastest speed possible, rushed out of the cave, flying away at lightning speed. Almost instantly after he left, the priests returned to the cave. Immediately afterward, a fierce roar erupted from within the cave. The black priest trembled slightly and quickly lunged towards Wang Lin, attempting to catch up. Wang Lin naturally unleashed his full speed, darting through a cluster of caves. While fleeing, he still used his finger to tap his forehead, summoning a group of wandering souls, concentrating his divine consciousness into a single point, and then scattering them in 4 directions, creating a chaotic mess. As he fled, Wang Lin noticed that the wandering souls he had unleashed were disappearing rapidly. The black priest, acting like a madman, unexpectedly didn't go through the caves but instead pierced through the walls, flying at full speed to eliminate the wandering souls. The Immortal Beast Mansion originally had many caves, buried deep under the ancient catastrophe, and had just been bombarded by 2 streams of sword energy, causing many to collapse. At this moment, the Black Priest went berserk, fighting wildly, causing a number of caves to collapse under the immense pressure. This phenomenon immediately triggered a chain reaction in many places within the cave. Wang Lin flew into the air, grabbing the chain, but it was broken by a strange force. He sighed, giving up trying and instead accelerating straight ahead. Gradually, he noticed that the number of wandering souls hadn't decreased. The black priests were still blindly following him, completely distracted by Wang Lin. But at this moment, a sound came from all directions. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he retreated a few steps, his divine consciousness sweeping across. He immediately discovered a large section of the cave collapsing, burying the entire Immortal Beast Mansion. If it were an ordinary person encountering this scene, they would naturally be at a loss. But as long as he didn't encounter those black priests, Wang Lin felt no fear. He pondered for a moment, not choosing to leave immediately, but instead swept his divine consciousness around, his eyes revealing a hint of surprise. His junior brother, Lu, was unexpectedly not dead and was even passing through the wall not far away. Moreover, Instead of heading towards his target, he aimed for where Wang Lin was standing. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he smiled, thinking, Sixth junior brother is truly a ruthless fellow, concealing his cultivation to unleash it at the slightest opportunity. Furthermore, since he's heading towards me, he must have discovered my hiding place. I wonder what will happen. If he intends to kill me, Wang Lin won't hesitate to kill him to seize the treasure. Although he's only at the mid-stage of the transformation god realm, Wang Lin is confident that with his magic weapon and clever strategy, his chances of winning are over 80%. The Forbidden's banner in his hand trembled. Immediately, the black mist surrounding him disappeared from the cliff. He calmly struck the beast-taming scroll on his wrist, looking straight ahead, waiting for Sixth junior brother to approach. Not long after, a person with a vigilant expression suddenly emerged from the cliff. His eyes flickered as he looked at Wang Lin. He examined him carefully several times, then laughed heartily, clasped his hands, and said, Fellow Taoist, now inside the cave, I'm afraid only you and I are left here. Wang Lin chuckled softly, understanding that this person had already discovered his presence and didn't need to hide. This place has just collapsed. Why aren't you looking for a way out, fellow Taoist? Why come to me? Wang Lin said calmly. There? Sixth disciple looked around, standing still, and said, So, fellow Taoist, you've been following me from the beginning and have seen the Immortal Realm's treasure. Wang Lin smiled, not answering, and casually said, What are you thinking, fellow Taoist? The sixth disciple's eyes flashed strangely, and he smiled, saying, I am Sun Lei. Surely you've seen the scene just now. I'm not afraid to tell you, but I'm not from the Great Luo sword sect. I've infiltrated it. Wang Lin remained silent. Sun Lei took a step forward as he spoke. Seeing Wang Lin's half-smiling, half-serious expression, his heart stirred, and he stopped. If you take another step, I'll have to take action. Wang Lin said calmly, his expression unchanged. Sun Lei pondered for a moment, then smiled and said, Fellow Taoist, I won't beat around the bush. In that Immortal Realm cave, there are 3 precious items. The first is the Immortal Jade, the second is the Immortal Sword, and the third is the Golden Iron Fan. I wonder if you obtained any of them just now. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he said. The Black Priest returned to quickly. I didn't get any. Sun Lei raised his eyebrows, glanced at him, and thought this person's cultivation is only at the early stage of the transformation god realm, but his divine sense is very strange. If I hadn't cultivated a specialized technique for examining divine sense, it would have been very difficult to detect this person following me. Moreover, even so, when I was being chased by the Immortal Realm's resources, I only discovered his existence in the blink of an eye as I flew past him. Then, using a secret technique to track his spiritual fluctuations, I barely managed to locate him. It seems he and I are similar, both concealing our cultivation, so he wouldn't act rashly unless absolutely necessary. Furthermore, after this encounter, his calmness further confirmed Sun Lei's belief that the other party was clearly hiding his cultivation. Otherwise, a nascent soul cultivator encountering a mid-nascent soul cultivator would absolutely not display such composure. There was another point that made Sun Lei very wary. A faint aura of danger emanated from the surrounding walls. With just one seemingly casual step forward, that sense of danger instantly intensified. Thinking of this, he smiled, clasped his hands, and said, Fellow Taoist, that Immortal Jade is formed from the condensation of Immortal Realm energy over many years. It can be said to be a priceless treasure, but compared to that, the Immortal Sword is even more precious. Just now, I hastily glanced at this sword and couldn't determine its type, but it's clearly not an ordinary object. On the other hand, there's also a metal fan. I guess that's a defensive immortal artifact. Wang Lin nodded, saying nothing. The colder he appeared, the more profound Sun Lei felt this person was. He was certain the other party already knew what he had just said, so Sun Lei immediately tried to negotiate. If we each search separately, it will be very difficult because many Immortal Realm experts are guarding the 3 treasures. But if you and I join forces, the chances of obtaining the treasures will be much greater. Wang Lin smirked and said, Oh, why should I help you? Sun Lei was stunned for a moment. Being a clever person, he immediately reacted and smiled, saying, I only need the Immortal Sword. You can have the other 2. What do you think? Wang Lin shook his head. Sun Lei's expression was somewhat displeased as he said, "Fellow Taoist, if you insist on taking the immortal sword, go ahead. Leave the other two items behind. You know that the immortal sword is the most valuable. Neither of the other two is far inferior to it. However, if you have both the immortal jade and the iron fan, they wouldn't be far behind." Wang Lin pondered. The immortal sword has a very powerful restriction on it. Unless it's refined for a long time, it's impossible to take it. Wang Lin thought to himself, obviously this person in front of him doesn't know about the strangeness of the sword. Thinking this, he smiled and said, "I don't need the immortal sword." Sun Lei breathed a sigh of relief, his expression softening somewhat, and smiled. "Since that's the case, let's explore this cave." Wang Lin shook his head and said, "I'm not interested in the other two items either." Sun Lei's eyes immediately darkened. If he weren't wary of the other party's concealed cultivation, he would have long since rushed forward to kill Wang Lin, instead of wasting words. Sun Lei took a deep breath, suppressing his anger, and thought to himself, the more he acts like this, the more it proves he's concealing his cultivation. Otherwise, how would he dare speak to me like that? Wang Lin remained calm, glancing at Sun Lei, and slowly said, "Taoist son, you want me to help you obtain the immortal sword. Yet you only offer two vague items. Do you think I'm a child to be tricked and deceived?" Sun Lei took a deep breath, staring at Wang Lin, and said in a low voice, "Taoist, what do you want?" He didn't like to waste words. If the other party absolutely refused to come forward, then he would take the risk himself. "I see that Taoist arrived here first, and it seems you've already discovered the cracks in this space," Wang Lin said softly and slowly. Sun Lei laughed heartily, patted his storage bag, and a jade slip fell into his hand. He threw it towards Wang Lin and said, "The Di Tanju, that's a divine technique of the Great Luo Sword Sect. I'll give it to you." Wang Lin accepted the jade slip, his divine consciousness swept over it, and he said, "Fellow Taoist, you are indeed straightforward. I won't beat around the bush any longer. Give me the green gourd from your third senior brother's storage bag, and I will risk going with you to find it." "No," Sun Lei said without hesitation. "That is the spirit cleansing gourd, something I absolutely need when entering the Great Luo Sword." "Fellow Taoist, you shouldn't force me." Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. Sun Lei gritted his teeth, angrily saying, "Fellow Taoist, this gourd cannot be given to you. However, if you help me obtain the treasure sword, I can give you a spirit cleansing wood. Its effectiveness is not as good as the spirit cleansing gourd, but it is still a rare treasure, capable of absorbing the energy of the immortal realm." After saying this, he regretfully took out a small piece of wood from his storage bag, briefly showed it to Wang Lin, and then put it away. Wang Lin pondered for a moment. To expend magical treasures to deal with this person for the sake of a cleansing spirit gourd, whether it was worth it or not was beside the point. The situation here was extremely dangerous, and Han Dai was like a predator lurking in wait. If he overused his magical treasures, he would certainly be in danger if he encountered Han Dai or another powerful cultivator. Thinking this, Wang Lin nodded and said, "All right, give me the cleansing spirit wood, and I'll help you get to that cave once. But if you still can't get the immortal sword after entering, then both the cleansing spirit wood and the cleansing spirit gourd will be mine." Sun Lei nodded and said, "Of course. I can't give you the cleansing spirit wood now. It's not too late to give it to you once we reach the cave entrance. Please forgive me, fellow Taoist. I'm just being cautious." Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and with a wave of his sleeve, he said, "Fellow Taoist, lead the way." Without a word, Sun Lei lightly shook his body and headed towards the cave entrance. He and Wang Lin walked one after the other, maintaining a certain distance, neither trusting the other, both wary of the other. This was because he was wary of Wang Lin's concealed cultivation, which is why he invited Wang Lin to join him on the treasure hunt. Both were decisive individuals, heading straight towards the cave. In just a moment, they had penetrated about 30 feet into the cave entrance. From there, looking into the distance, they saw a pitch-black cave entrance. Not far away, there was a skeleton, the remains of his third senior brother, whom Sun Lei had killed. Immortal realm nourishment is originally the food of immortal beasts, which strengthens the body when eaten, but for me, it has no effect. I didn't expect there to be so much immortal beast nourishment here. Do you know why black immortal nourishment exists? Sun Lei looked at the cave entrance in the distance and said softly. Wang Lin calmly replied, "I think it is Is it related to the skeleton? He remembered very clearly that the first time, the Black Priest had emerged from that skeleton. Each time it flew out, it caused the skeleton to tremble, as if it could come back to life at any moment. Fellow Taoist, your knowledge is truly extraordinary. Many years ago, the immortal realm suffered a calamity. That black immortal essence somehow devoured the entire body and merged with the immortal consciousness and primordial spirit, then hid inside the corpse, and after a long time, it attained enlightenment. It is precisely because of its existence that there are so many immortal essences here, probably all its descendants, Sun Lei said. He gently placed several jade slips on the ground. Wang Lin remained silent. Fellow Taoist, later I will use magic to lure out the immortal essences. You and I will eliminate as many as we can. When the Black Priest appears, we will quickly escape and meet again at the place we were just at, Sun Lei said in a low voice. Wang Lin nodded, swung his right hand, and the beast scroll flew out, instantly transforming into a thunder frog, which landed on the ground. Sun Lei narrowed his eyes, glancing at Wang Lin for a long time, his heart becoming even more certain this person is concealing his cultivation. Otherwise, how could he have captured such an extremely rare top-grade spirit beast? Let's begin, Wang Lin said calmly. Sun Lei said no more, chanting a spell with both hands and softly shouting. Immediately, the treasured sword behind him flew up, forming a rainbow-shaped sword light, flying away with a roar, and piercing straight into the cave. The sounds echoed through the cave. Following that, the sword returned. Suddenly, a massive group appeared, followed by countless writhing priests flying towards them. The sight was horrifying. Once they clung to them, blood would gush out, leaving only a skeleton behind. Sun Lei shouted loudly. Before him, the jade slip instantly opened, and a stream of seven-colored smoke poured out from above, heading towards the group of priests. Immediately, a piece of priest fell to the ground, writhing and twisting. But the group of priests was truly vast. In just a few breaths, the seven-colored smoke dissipated completely. Without a word, Sun Lei retreated, using his flying sword to unleash powerful sword energy attacks on the priests. With each sword energy attack, large chunks of priests were annihilated. Even though a path appeared in the cave, it was completely surrounded by the priests, leaving no escape. They recklessly attacked everything that was still alive. Sun Lei continued to retreat, his eyes flashing. Wang Lin pulled out the frog beside him. Immediately, the frog's belly swelled up, emitting a thunderous sound. Then it opened its mouth wide, and with a loud boom, spat out a lightning ball. This lightning ball flashed with electricity and struck straight forward. Instantly, a group of priests were cut in half as if by a scythe, completely annihilated. Sun Lei was stunned. He couldn't have imagined that this lightning ball would be so powerful. His admiration for Wang Lin grew even stronger. The lightning ball possessed the power of heaven and earth, violently destroying the group of priests and pushing them back about 10 meters. But the priests seemed endless, charging forward. Wang Lin retreated, pulling out the frog with his right hand. With another roar, the frog swelled up and spat out a series of lightning balls, each lightning bolt enveloping the priests. The lightning balls, imbued with bursts of electrical energy, rained down relentlessly. The priests seemed to be experiencing fear for the first time, unexpectedly no longer wanting to advance but instead wanting to retreat. Just then, a piercing shriek erupted from within the group of priests. Immediately afterward, a black dot appeared among them, flying out from within and heading straight for the lightning ball. The frog, having continuously spat out two lightning balls, was now exhausted. Seeing the Black Priest, Wang Lin quickly retracted the frog, transforming it into the beast-taming scroll he wore on his wrist, then turned and fled without hesitation. While fleeing, he pointed a finger at his forehead, summoning numerous wandering souls to scatter around him. As for Sun Lei, his eyes showed hesitation, and he sighed, abandoning the risky idea of waiting for the priests to finish chasing Wang Lin before entering the cave. After all, this was too risky. A single misstep could lead to death. Therefore, Wang Lin retreated a moment, choosing a direction to immediately withdraw. Speaking of the lightning ball, when the Black Priest entered it, its entire body trembled, shrinking, and finally, with a series of booming sounds, the lightning ball completely vanished. The Black Priest roared fiercely, its body not entirely black, but slightly purple, even with a flowing electric light. It arched its body and leapt forward at an extremely fast speed, impossible to track even with divine sense. It chose not Wang Lin, but precisely where Sunlei Wang Lin was walking, causing his expression to change drastically, and the Forbidden's banner trembled. He immediately sat down cross-legged, swallowed a spirit pill, and a powerful suction force emanated from within the beast-taming scroll. After a long while, the suction slowed down, and Wang Lin slowly stood up, his face somewhat grim. This time, the beast-taming scroll had consumed half a day's worth of spiritual energy, clearly indicating that the lightning ball had been overexploited. This circle is very powerful but also consumes a lot of energy, Wang Lin pondered to himself as he flew forward. Along the way, a swarm of wandering souls pierced through the walls from all sides and returned to his forehead. Wang Lin quickly calculated that there were still many wandering souls, and couldn't help but worrying. It seemed that the Black Priest was still chasing Sunlei this time. Wang Lin went to the meeting place with Sunlei in the cave. He sat cross-legged, his divine consciousness spreading out to search for Sunlei. Not long after, he saw Sunlei about 1,000 feet away. At this time, Sunlei was extremely battered, his body covered in wounds, and it was evident that he was wearing a set of silver armor. Because of this armor, he had avoided two pursuits. His right hand was bleeding profusely, and he had lost a finger. At this moment, Wang Lin, sitting cross-legged, concentrated his divine consciousness and instantly scanned the area. Sunlei immediately noticed, his expression changing to one of admiration for Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, his body moved slightly, and he passed through the cave wall, burrowing underground and flying away quickly. Sunlei saw this, took out some pills, looked at them with a pained expression, swallowed them in one gulp, his face complex, and then sat down cross-legged. A distance of 1,000 jang, approximately 30 meters, is not far for a nascent soul cultivator, but within the cave, there was a strange force hindering it. So it took half an incense stick's time for Wang Lin to appear at Sunlei's location. Sunlei's face immediately contorted, his eyes showing a gloomy expression as he stared at Wang Lin. "Brother Sun, please continue your cultivation. I will guard you," Wang Lin said calmly. He inwardly sighed. I wonder what kind of elixir Sunlei used. His body was so weak just now, and now it's already recovered 8 parts. From then on, Wang Lin abandoned his initial intention. Sunlei was stunned, obviously not expecting Wang Lin to say this. He didn't believe it in his heart, but he slowly said, "Thank you, fellow Taoist." Wang Lin didn't say another word and sat down. Sunlei remained cautiously on guard, slowly refining the elixir. After a while, his cultivation was completely restored, and he looked at Wang Lin with brighter eyes. "Fellow Taoist, my cultivation has been restored. How should we proceed?" Sunlei stood up and asked. Wang Lin nodded, stood up, and quickly returned to the cave dwelling. Sunlei followed closely behind. Along the way, neither of them spoke a word, flying straight towards the cave. But at this moment, countless priests suddenly rushed out from inside. Sunlei's eyes flashed, and he said in a low voice, "Fellow Taoist, you step back. This time, I will take action." After saying that, he potted his storage bag, and a black fin immediately flew out. The fan's material was unknown, but as soon as it was released, the surrounding area, including the walls, was filled with a cold air screen, quickly forming a layer of black ice. The black ice screen continuously expanded, instantly entering Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's eyes remained calm. The Forbidden's banner trembled, and immediately a black mist enveloped Wang Lin and Sunlei, forming a protective shield. The cold air that reached the two people immediately separated. Wang Lin blinked, silently taking out an ancient wooden statue from his storage bag, its age unknown. At this moment, the priests rushed out of the cave again, their numbers undiminished, advancing to attack. This time, the Black Priest charged forward, clearly intending to annihilate his opponents. Sunlei took a deep breath, his hands rapidly changing incantations, his hand placed on his forehead. Immediately, his primordial spirit rose from the top of his head, grasping the black fan. In that instant, his primordial spirit showed an expression of agony, as if the black fan were a burning iron. Holding the black fan, his primordial spirit fiercely advanced. Immediately, a dark wind swirled along the fan, blowing towards the priests. Instantly, the priests stopped, and a mass of black ice spread out. In a flash, including Wang Lin, everything was covered in black ice. Without a word, Sunlei's primordial spirit pointed towards the cave entrance, and he chuckled, saying, Fellow Taoist, my magical power is limited. I can only seal it for 10 breaths. I'll go ahead first and come to your rescue later. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, and a hint of mockery flickered at the corner of his mouth. Sun Lei had calculated meticulously. Even though the time was long, he only now unleashed this power. His purpose was to use Wang Lin as bait, causing the priests to recover and chase after Wang Lin, while he himself escaped. Otherwise, even if he obtained the treasure, the priests would relentlessly pursue him, making escape difficult. After all, if he actually obtained the treasure, the priests would certainly pursue him even more fiercely, making the danger twice as great. He thought, after obtaining the treasure, he would throw the skeleton at Wang Lin so that the priests would see it and abandon him for someone closer. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He was always wary of this person. How could he let Sun Lei have his way? Although the black ice was strange, he had already taken out the wooden statue of the old man in green. At the very moment the black ice sealed, the supreme time intent of the wooden statue immediately took effect. In the time intent, time is altered by the mind. That is the true power of the time intent. Wang Lin had cultivated for many years in the heaven-defying space, so he had a very deep understanding of time reversal. This was also one of the important reasons why he could imitate the time intent. A strange ray of light diffused from the wooden statue, penetrating into the black ice seal. Although the black ice's power was strong, Wang Lin did not resist it but used the time intent to loosen its grip. From then on, although there was difficulty, it was not too great. Following a ray of the time intent, Wang Lin's body was not imprisoned as Sun Lei had imagined. Amidst Sun Lei's boisterous laughter, Wang Lin's body remained completely normal, and in an instant, he had left the room. Moreover, compared to Sun Lei, he was several times faster. When he charged forward, he was blocked by a group of priests, but he broke through and appeared outside the cave. Taoist son, give me the cleansing spirit wood so I can enter. Sun Lei was stunned. His face immediately turned somewhat unpleasant. He was also decisive. Without a word, he potted his storage bag and threw out the cleansing spirit wood. Wang Lin received it and quickly advanced towards the cave. Sun Lei cursed inwardly, but he also knew time was of the essence. He needed to seize the moment, so he hurriedly rushed inside. Upon entering the cave, he first saw Wang Lin holding the golden iron fan on the corpse's chest. Without a word, he grabbed the immortal sword. But as soon as he touched it, he let out a scream. His entire right hand was instantly covered in countless blood spots. Wang Lin didn't care. In an instant, Wang Lin turned and left the cave, the Forbidden's banner in his hand dispelling the black mist. Inside the cave, the Forbidden's dragon immediately rushed out and surrounded Wang Lin. Suddenly, his body moved forward, breaking through the barrier. Sun Lei's eyes turned bloodshot. And willing to give up, he let out a low roar and grabbed the top of the immortal sword. Suddenly, he let out a pained cry. His right hand was injured by a burst of golden light, causing multiple wounds. Even his chest was pierced by the golden light. The silver armor on his body instantly melted away. Sun Lei immediately withdrew his hand and threw away the immortal sword. He roared in anger. Inside the cave, he had secretly calculated. 8 breaths of time had passed, and there was still a chance. If he didn't act quickly, he would be in danger. But contrary to his calculations, in an instant, the priests stirred slightly and immediately rushed out from within the black ice, emitting a deafening roar as they charged towards him. Sun Lei was terrified. His eyes showed disbelief. The treasure of his sect was said to last 10 breaths, so it absolutely lasted 10 breaths. How could it have loosened its grip after only 8 breaths? He didn't know that because absorbing the lightning ball had given the black priest a little bit of heaven and earth power. It reduced 1 breath out of 10 breaths. At the same time, Wang Lin used the time intent of the wooden statue to slow down the black ice, causing it to lose another breath. Sun Lei was terrified and rushed forward, but it was too late. The black priest lunged forward, and immediately a shadow of death enveloped him, especially when he looked above his head and saw Wang Lin quickly leaving. A strong feeling of unwillingness arose in his heart. He went mad. Without a word, he slapped his forehead. A black pearl immediately spread out from his forehead. His eyes showed a hint of heartache. The black pearl was formed from his cultivation after reaching the god transformation stage after hundreds of years. According to this cultivation method, that pearl would become as important as a second primordial spirit. Without it, his cultivation would immediately plummet drastically from the mid-stage god transformation stage to the nascent soul stage. Explode! Sun Lake closed his eyes. The black pearl instantly flashed. In an instant, with a loud boom, bubbles erupted. A wave of black ripples immediately spread. The priests at the forefront immediately screamed, shrinking into a ball, struggling to resist the ripples. But the priests in the middle of the black ice, who had just regained their ability to move, showed no resistance whatsoever, simply dissolving under the attack of the ripples. Even the surrounding cave walls completely collapsed, leaving nothing behind. The power from the pearl's explosion had reached the limit of this fragmented immortal realm. Immediately, the heavens and earth within the fragments shattered, collapsing with a thunderous roar. The cracks grew larger and larger, the space inside becoming infinite. On the ground, lava erupted. With a boom, the heavens and earth trembled, lava shot upwards, and light shot out, covering the sky and earth. Immediately afterward, the massive boulder beneath Sunlei's feet collapsed, as if swallowed whole, and both he and the bubbles vanished in an instant, their destination unknown. Wang Lin was fleeing. He immediately sensed a destructive force emanating from below. At the same time, the binding force that had been preventing his teleportation in all directions instantly collapsed. He was shocked and, without a word, was about to teleport, but quickly stood up. He felt tremors from all sides, accompanied by deafening explosions. The fragments of the immortal realm have collapsed, Wang Lin guessed immediately. Fortunately, he hadn't used teleportation. Otherwise, it would have been truly terrifying. Wang Lin muttered to himself, channeling all his energy, and instantly soared into the air like lightning. Without the limitations of the strange power, his speed returned to normal. The ground collapsed even faster. In an instant, Wang Lin's divine sense detected a vast expanse of dark void within 100 jang radius. That void resembled a gaping maw constantly devouring. He was immediately terrified. The area outside continued to collapse, already exceeding 100 jang and 50 jang in front of him. Without speaking, Wang Lin flew straight ahead, fleeing. The cave dwelling continued to collapse. 10 jang, 20, 30 jang. Wang Lin's face turned pale. He was only a short distance from the ground, and at this moment, it was collapsing extremely rapidly. Obviously, it couldn't collapse before he moved. His eyes revealed a hint of malice as he potted his storage space and took out a crystalline object about the size of a grain of rice. This object was formed from condensed immortal energy. The dark void devoured and roared, expanding 3, then 5 meters. Wang Lin looked into the distance and saw what looked like a gaping void mouth. He swallowed the immortal energy crystal in his hand in one gulp. Immediately, for the first time, his primordial spirit felt a kind of pain. It was the immortal energy of his primordial spirit being burned. At this moment, Wang Lin's primordial spirit was almost on the verge of collapse. A series of agonizing pains surged through his body, along with a surge of power, like the earth supporting the sky. The surrounding dark void continued to devour 1, 2, 3 meters. Wang Lin flew forward. A rumbling sound, like a rushing current, chased after him. The moment the dark void devoured him, Wang Lin rushed out. His speed increased many times compared to before. The moment he leapt out of the ground, the entire fragmented immortal realm collapsed, leaving almost all of it in darkness and void. Beneath his feet was a pitch-black expanse. Only a few places, like stone pillars supporting heaven and earth, still struggled to stand firm, but some of them were constantly shrinking, eventually disappearing. Cracks were everywhere in the air. But Wang Lin, of course, didn't sense any of that. His consciousness was like a madman moving at the speed of a shooting star, even faster than a shooting star, hurtling out of the ground and into the air with a thunderous roar. More and more cracks tore open, continuously forming large void-like gaps. Wang Lin soared upwards, like a phoenix struggling with flames, rising higher and higher. At this moment, in front of him, a series of cracks converged, forming a void. Wang Lin immediately leapt into the darkness. A blast of cold air instantly enveloped him, stimulating his brain and causing him to cry out. Without a word, he controlled his body and retreated. As he struggled, another crack appeared. With a moment of quick thinking, he dodged the fissure. Finally, that small piece of heaven and earth, the fragment of the immortal realm, completely collapsed. In that instant, he finally broke free and vanished into thin air. After flying high for a while, a large vortex appeared in the distance. This was the same place where he had previously entered the fragment of the immortal realm. Below the vortex was a platform where many people were staring in astonishment. As soon as he landed, his body flickered. Then he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and fell to the ground. After a moment, he gathered his remaining strength and touched his forehead. Immediately, a swarm of wandering souls flew out. During his journey in the outer battlefield, Wang Lin had gathered over 10,000 wandering souls. They all appeared, swirling and howling, forming a black vortex that terrified the people on the platform, causing them to recoil. Wang Lin fell to the ground, struggling to sit cross-legged. He took out several bottles of elixirs from his storage bag, swallowed them in one gulp, and then sat down to cultivate. On the platform beneath the large vortex, tens of thousands of wandering souls emitted mournful sounds, spinning around, their gloomy eyes fixed on the people standing on the platform. These wandering souls were the ones from the outer battlefield. Wang Lin had previously spent a great deal of effort collecting them, only managing to release them through the annihilation law. In fact, during his years in the outer battlefield, he had harvested over 100,000 wandering souls, but ultimately only managed to bring back these 10,000. Unlike demons, wandering souls are different in that they disregard the opponent's cultivation level. They are fearless and unyielding, even if they are to be refined. Could over 10,000 wandering souls kill a nascent soul cultivator? Wang Lin hadn't tested it, so he didn't know. In any case, unless absolutely necessary, he didn't want to waste all the wandering souls he had painstakingly collected. But Wang Lin did remember that the ancient emperor was besieged by countless wandering souls years ago, his body devoured. Among these wandering souls, there was one distinctly different existence. Although its appearance resembled a wandering soul, its eyes held a hint of sentience. That was the demon Li Guo. Inside the swarm of wandering souls, he felt a little smug, thinking to himself, third, fourth, and fifth are all dead, and I'm still safe and sound. Moreover, I have so many senior wandering souls by my side. I'll surely be safe in the future. On the platform, several people were still staring at the wandering souls without blinking. Among them was a man with bright eyes and a gleaming axe-shaped mark on his forehead. This man was from the giant demon clan, also from the vermilion bird star like Wang Lin. He recognized Wang Lin with a glance. His eyes flashed, and he remained silent. At this moment, beside him was a middle-aged man in a gray robe. This man had gloomy eyes and a slightly curved nose, giving him a somber appearance. He glanced at Wang Lin and stepped forward. The man from the giant demon clan glanced at Wang Lin, saying nothing, but a hint of mockery appeared in his eyes. This man's cultivation hadn't even reached the nascent soul stage, only the late nascent soul stage. Trying to take the life of a nascent soul cultivator was like trying to fight a rock with an egg. The man in the gray robe carefully stood on the ground. The distance between him and the wandering souls grew closer and closer. He raised his right hand, muttering something. Gradually, a black flame formed in his hand. As soon as the flame appeared, a wave of heat surged in all directions. He looked at Wang Lin, a greedy glint in his eyes. He threw his right hand forward, and the flame instantly flew away. At this moment, the wandering souls circling Wang Lin immediately stopped, their eyes fixed on him. The gray-robed man immediately retreated a few steps, but the wandering souls suddenly let out a piercing scream, scattering in all directions. About a third of them attacked the fireball, while the remaining two-thirds, thousands of wandering souls, charged straight towards the gray-robed man. This was an extremely terrifying display. The gray-robed man's face changed color. He raised his right hand, instantly unleashing a flying sword. He controlled it with his fingers, and the sword swept horizontally towards the wandering souls. However, the wandering souls were not demons. They possessed a certain resistance to magical techniques and divine abilities. The sword light swept across, slowing down some of the wandering souls outside, but those inside still surged out, instantly closing in on the gray-robed man and attacking again. Some of them even burrowed into his body. He immediately changed color, biting his tongue and spitting out a mouthful of blood. The blood instantly transformed into a ball of fire, enveloping and protecting him. He immediately sat down cross-legged, sweat dripping from his forehead, meditating and trying to expel the wandering souls from his body. Outside the flames surrounding him, many more wandering souls continued to attack, their attacks relentless. The flames around him began to flicker, seemingly on the verge of extinguishing at any moment. As for the wandering souls attacked by the fireballs, some perished, but the rest fiercely attacked, causing the fireballs to only last for a short time before dying out within 3 meters of Wang Lin. The remaining wandering souls did not advance but circled around Wang Lin, their eyes fixed on the people on the platform, a gloomy expression in their eyes. The man in gray groaned inwardly, thinking to himself, I shouldn't act rashly in the future. Although he knew that cultivators who could enter the immortal realm all possessed great divine abilities and were outstanding talents on their respective cultivation planets, he didn't expect that the opponent, despite being severely injured, would still be so difficult to deal with. Just the release of these strange creatures had already exhausted him. If the opponent's cultivation recovered, he feared he would die here today. Seeing that the surrounding flames could be extinguished at any moment, and with so many wandering souls, the gray-robed man gritted his teeth. With a flick of his left hand, a small cauldron appeared in his grasp. His eyes showed unwillingness as he prepared to open the cauldron to return to his corresponding cultivation planet. Just as he was about to open the cauldron, suddenly, amidst the protection of the wandering souls, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and with a grab of his right hand, sent the small cauldron flying from the gray-robed man's hand. The gray-robed man's face instantly changed drastically, turning pale and bloodless, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Wang Lin's eyes were gloomy, his hand clenched as if crushing a bubble. The dim flames surrounding the gray-robed man were instantly extinguished. The gray-robed man let out a frantic scream, his body instantly teleporting outside the vortex and then flying straight into it. At this moment, he thought, only by entering the fragments of the immortal realm might I have the only way to survive. But the speed of the wandering souls was faster. In an instant, countless wandering souls swarmed into his body. His whole body trembled. He screamed in agony and fell from midair onto the platform, his body convulsing uncontrollably, finally dying. Gradually, his entire body, flesh and blood, vanished, leaving him a dry skeleton. A swarm of joyful wandering souls then entered him. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, his thoughts stirred slightly, and the wandering souls from all sides simultaneously flew back, entering Wang Lin's forehead and disappearing. At this moment, the man from the giant demon clan laughed heartily, took a few steps forward, and said loudly, Fellow Taoist, why have you become so disheveled? Even nascent soul cultivators have shown covetousness towards you. Wang Lin glanced at him, casually saying, The immortal realm fragments collapsed. The man from the giant demon clan was immediately stunned, his eyes showing a strange expression, and said, Fellow Taoist, you escaped from the collapse of the immortal realm fragments? No sooner had he finished speaking than he gave a wry smile, realizing he had spoken nonsense, and so he clasped his hands together and said, Hio Hio, Chan Gigi Toifin SPPG, Koda Chi Ra, K Kun Kang La Khu Huang Xesha, Th La Sima Tic Snth, Bua Fak, Kang Bit Xang Ha Hio Haina the Now? Vibang Lam LSE Hu Noi, May End En Mothai, THT Tiang Ngu. And Chenti Sian Stung Toifin SPPG, Vibang Lam Kang Kan Ni Kochit Asti Hai, New Kang Liu Nut Vau Chiang Ki Kanti 10, Asti La Hen GBI Thay Waiko, T Tiangangu, SNTH Siti MT Chet, Bang Nyan Hai MT Dung Lei Noi, Etio Hai Kofi La Ki CHTICT Tiang No Trong and CNP Tu Chan Quick Thien HN Quick Y Nam BNCHETGC Ting Kang. Vibang Lam Engenra, LSCHU Kang Noi. SNTH Sagi HEI Lao, Tong Bien Chu TGC 10, TUSSBS Eco HTTN Kang Chikothian HN Quick Ma Thai. Although the other party didn't admit it, he also didn't say he cultivated on his own. It seems that Zhang Niu is probably a disciple trained at some 5th-level cultivation center of a country. Otherwise, if he were from a 4th-level cultivation nation, he naturally wouldn't be unaware. It's worth noting that the giant demon clan is merely a 4th-level cultivation nation, so of course they pay some attention to the geniuses from other cultivation nations of the same level. Shadhu's attitude immediately changed. However, with his cultivation level, he naturally wouldn't show it. Brother Zhang, could we come a little closer to talk? Shadhu hesitated for a moment, then suddenly spoke. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he looked at this person and nodded slightly. Shadhu immediately moved closer to Wang Lin, casually waving his right hand, instantly forming a halo of light. Wang Lin remained calm, secretly preparing himself. Brother Zhang, you and I both come from the Vermilion Bird Star. Please lend a hand. Shadhu went straight to the point, saying, What, Brother Shadhu, what is it? Just say it without hesitation. Wang Lin smiled. Shadhu gritted his teeth, took out a jade slip, and threw it to Wang Lin, saying, Fellow Taoist, you'll know when you see it. Wang Lin received the jade slip, and his divine consciousness swept over it. Although he had great self-control, he still showed signs of emotion. The jade slip contained a set of images recorded by divine consciousness. Inside was a place of chirping birds, lush green mountains, and clear blue waters, extremely magnificent. Most clearly visible was a pond, and above the pond was a jade coffin. 3 immortal swords were stuck in the coffin. Wang Lin noticed that these swords were very similar to the swords in the skeleton's hand when he was in the cave. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. If he wasn't mistaken, the jade coffin was actually made entirely of immortal jade. At the same time, floating on the pond were plants resembling prayer beads, obviously not ordinary things. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, returned the jade slip to Shadhu, and remained silent. Brother Zhang, many years ago, a member of the giant demon clan entered the immortal realm and inadvertently trespassed into that place. It's guarded by immortal beasts and has countless restrictions. With only one person, he didn't dare act rashly, only quietly recording and transmitting the information before returning, Shadhu said, looking at Wang Lin and lowering his voice. After so many years, I'm afraid someone has already discovered this place, Wang Lin said thoughtfully. That's impossible, Brother Zhang. I can guarantee that no one has discovered this place yet. Please forgive me, Brother Zhang, but I can't reveal the reason at the moment, Shadhu said with a smile. Wang Lin was silent for a moment before saying, With just the 2 of us, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to succeed. Shadhu smiled and said, The 2 of us might not be enough, but I've arranged for another person to join. 3 people going together will naturally increase the chances of success. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. I can't answer this question right away. Let me think about it for a few days. Shadhu nodded and said, That's only natural. So, if Brother Zhang has thought it through, then in a month, gather at the location shown on this jade slip map. If Brother Zhang doesn't come after a month, I won't wait any longer. He then produced a jade slip and handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin took it and looked at it. This jade slip was very similar to the teleportation artifact of the Great Luo Sword Sect, both essential for opening a teleportation array. However, on its surface, only one of the small pieces inside was brightly illuminated. Hold this jade slip. When you enter the vortex, you can choose your location. Brother Zhang, I await your participation. Shadhu clasped his hands together, turned and left without looking back, stepping into the vortex, his figure gradually disappearing. Wang Lin retrieved the jade slip, sat down cross-legged, and brought out the Forbidden's banner, shaking it to cover all 4 sides. He sat in the black mist, closed his eyes, and his primordial spirit slowly emerged from the top of his head. His hands formed a hand seal, revealing an expression of agony. Gradually, a rice grain-sized crystal of immortal energy was forced out from the center of his primordial spirit's forehead. After this crystal appeared, the primordial spirit immediately became listless, seemingly capable of dissipating with just a gentle breeze, slowly sinking into Wang Lin's body. After a long while, Wang Lin opened his eyes, his face showing exhaustion. He held the crystal of immortal energy in his hand, glanced at it briefly, and then put it into his storage bag. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he was fundamentally incapable of merging with immortal energy, let alone a crystallized immortal energy. This immortal energy was a treasure that only cultivators who had reached the late stage of the transformation god realm and were attempting to break through to the nascent soul realm could attempt to absorb. It could be said that the main reason why there weren't many nascent soul cultivators on Vermilion Bird Star was the scarcity of immortal energy. Anyway, not all cultivators have the opportunity to enter the immortal realm to obtain immortal energy. Some major sects with a history of 10,000 years might even have crystallized immortal energy stored there. But these things are only available to the sect's most talented individuals or elders, and only in limited quantities. There are few cultivators at the nascent soul stage, so it's rare to find cultivators at the peak stage. If one attempts to fuse immortal energy before reaching the late stage of the god transformation realm, it's not a treasure but poison for a cultivator. Wang Lin smiled wryly. His primordial spirit was severely damaged. Fortunately, he had a wandering soul, and after devouring some, his primordial spirit recovered a little. He potted his storage bag, and an object appeared in his hand. It was a white jade stone, emanating waves of immortal energy. Wang Lin's divine consciousness swept over it, and he immediately discovered that this so-called immortal jade was actually not much different from spirit stones. Chungkui linfish fat ra lin ki kanchan angi si ne le fat ra chang ki. Vibang lambit, sao ki jade hin bin ke. Angoi trial angwai sianch rafikang na they ni NGP theanio lin ki ggc. Tian ki na chin la mtvieti arch di trung yu. Duko, kukang ni the na kang tit. Vibang lambit mccg corbo ca tiang ki. At la ki tian angi si trong te ne. Niu jade y chu tgc tin. Chikchen sn to ra mt tai hoalen. Dom kai chu tgc kwat kang sn ra te ccp hot. Sao ki non thong quay, vibang lim hem ki angi si nether hi lay. Lane hen tren hen tuan gigi ne, tinuyan thine hai chit houten hengter hoch kong arch ti fong fa. Vibang lam thi sao, hai mt chin plan, lay zoot ra mt vieti kik ti trong ti turk vieti. Vieti kai chin la mt thin thit fin malvang whiter chak and gek thi hai kia. Tan lai ting noi thit fin ne la mt kai tian ki fong ang. Hang na anti ki vibang lam cm li vieti kai lpptic fat hyan ra nak hang the la tian ki ggc. At that time, he didn't have much time to study, but now that things were settled, his consciousness immediately stirred and began to investigate. The moment his consciousness merged into the iron fan, a buzzing sound echoed in his head, making him slightly dizzy. Immediately afterward, a torrent of information surged into his brain. After a long while, Wang Lin's eyes showed a look of fear as he stared at the iron fan, his eyes blinking incessantly. Now, he could confirm that if what he had just learned was true, this iron fan was probably the most valuable of the three items. This iron fan resembled a jade slip, recording the method for crafting a type of artifact called the Divine Archery Chariot. According to the description on the iron fan, the owner of that skeleton called himself the Heavenly Treasure Immortal. After ascending to the immortal realm, this person devoted all his energy to crafting magical artifacts, showing no interest in cultivation. In fact, the reason he managed to reach a cultivation level sufficient to ascend to the immortal realm was so he could live a few more years, thereby fulfilling his greatest life ideal, creating the most powerful magical artifact in the world. Unfortunately, this ideal was shattered by the great catastrophe in the immortal realm. He spent his entire life researching and creating the Divine Archery Chariot, but ultimately remained unsatisfied, sealing it away in his cave dwelling. Just before the great catastrophe of the immortal realm, he left his cave dwelling to gather more materials to attempt to recreate it. Sadly, this time, his departure marked a final, fatal separation. Before his death, unwilling to let his lifelong research be cut short, he left behind the iron fan, bequeathing it to someone destined to discover it. In the iron fan, this person didn't hold back at all, writing down the method for crafting the Divine Archery Chariot, a method he wasn't entirely satisfied with. He also left the address of his cave dwelling, so that whoever was destined to find this iron fan would have to go there to retrieve the Divine Archery Chariot. Furthermore, if they had the ability, they could continue their research. Wang Lin took a deep breath. The method for crafting this Divine Archery Chariot was extremely complex. Just considering the materials alone, the vast majority were extinct items, making it impossible to recreate them. However, in the description of the Heavenly Treasure Immortal, Wang Lin realized that his cave dwelling still contained a Divine Archery Chariot. Wang Lin was somewhat tempted. After a moment of contemplation, he stood up, retracted the forbidden spanner, and walked towards the platform above the vortex. The people on the platform averted their gaze upon seeing Wang Lin approach. These people were all at the nascent soul stage. They didn't dare enter the vortex, instead planning to stay here and wait for injured cultivators to arrive so they could rob them. Wang Lin didn't even glance at them and leapt into the vortex. Inside the vortex, Wang Lin's body continuously sank, his eyes wide open throughout the process. According to the records on the iron fan, the cave dwelling of the Heavenly Treasure Immortal was in the west of the immortal realm. But now the immortal realm had shattered into many pieces, and he didn't know if this person's cave dwelling was still in its original location, or if it had been discovered by previous generations. Wang Lin's body continued to sink, and on a small platform in the east, he landed on the ground. After glancing around, Wang Lin's body immediately soared into the air, rising even higher, entering the platform above the vortex. Then he entered the vortex again, and without stopping, immediately descended. After several more attempts, Wang Lin finally landed in a patch to the west. According to the description of the heavenly treasure immortal, his cave dwelling seemed to be beneath a mountain shaped like a tiger. After landing on this small patch, his divine consciousness swept across, but he couldn't find any tiger-shaped mountain. He pondered for a moment. Although the search was difficult, he didn't give up and continued to carefully search within this small patch. He also saw two cultivators constantly sizing each other up, passing each other without engaging in combat. Many days later, Wang Lin still had no results and flew up again. Then he descended into the vortex once more. The people sitting on the platform watched Wang Lin's constant comings and goings, speculating about his whereabouts, but no one dared to approach and ask. One day, Wang Lin descended from the whirlwind again. He didn't arrive in the west, but rather to the east. After landing, he sighed inwardly. If things continued like this, he wondered how long it would take to search all the small fragments in the west. Today, the cave dwelling of the heavenly treasure immortal was truly difficult to find. Just as he was about to leave, two fluctuations of spiritual power suddenly emanated from ahead. Two figures, one in front and one behind, were rapidly approaching. The figure in front was surrounded by dark clouds, moving as fast as the wind. Behind him was a man in white robes, holding a fan in his hand, a cold smile on his face. At this moment, the fleeing figure in front spotted Wang Lin and immediately flew towards him, shouting loudly, "Fellow Taoist, save me!" The white-robed man's expression turned grim. He folded his fan, raised his hand, and pointed forward. Instantly, a giant hand appeared in the void, reaching out to grab the other man. The man's face changed color, seemingly unable to dodge, and in an instant, he was caught by the giant hand. But strangely, the moment the giant hand touched him, his body instantly transformed into countless tiny insects, scattering through the gaps. 100 yards in front of Wang Lin, the man instantly reappeared. Wang Lin focused his gaze, recognizing him as the bloodthirsty youth who also came from the vermilion bird star like himself. At this moment, his expression was very grim. After reappearing, he hesitated slightly, no longer fleeing, but turning to face the white-robed man who was chasing him. The white-robed man assessed Wang Lin for a moment, then clasped his hands and said, "Fellow Taoist, this matter has nothing to do with you. Please leave." The young man immediately said, "Fellow Taoist, this person stole my immortal artifact crystal. If you help me eliminate him, then you get half of that crystal." The white-robed young man narrowed his eyes and laughed loudly, "Nonsense. It's clearly you who stole mine." Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. He didn't want to get involved in this matter, so without a word, he retreated a few steps and flew away into the distance. The young man's expression changed, and he immediately chased after Wang Lin, shouting, "Fellow Taoist, please, out of consideration for our shared homeland of the vermilion bird star, help me this time." Wang Lin's face darkened, and he turned sharply, shouting, "Get out! This is your business. Don't drag me into it. If you follow me again, don't blame me for being ruthless." The young man's eyes revealed a vicious look. Raising his right hand, he immediately threw a grain-sized crystal of immortal energy towards Wang Lin. Then his body flashed, and he quickly flew away into the distance. "Since you refuse to help, then bring disaster upon yourself. At most, I don't need that crystal anymore." The white-robed youth's eyes flashed, letting go of the other youth and turning his gaze towards Wang Lin, quickly flying towards him. Wang Lin didn't even glance at the crystal. His right hand lightly flicked, and the object immediately flew towards the white-robed youth. The man was stunned, awkwardly stopping, and clasped his hands together, saying, "Thank you. I am Sima Yun of the Kuishui sect. May I ask who you are?" "Zhang Niu," Wang Lin said, then turned and flew away into the distance. He planned to search again and try a few more times after searching the vortex. If he still couldn't find the cave, he would have to give up. "Zhang Taoist, I've searched this place for several days and haven't found any immortal energy. There's no need to waste any more time. Do you have a teleportation point to the immortal realm?" If so, we can exchange some information, the white-robed young man said loudly. Wang Lin took a step forward, turned around, and carefully assessed the white-robed young man's cultivation. He was at the early stage of the transformation god realm, but judging from the power of the spell just now, he knew it was not simple. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then gently patted his storage bag, and immediately a teleportation jade slip of the Great Lua sword sect appeared in his hand. As soon as he infused it with spiritual power, a picture appeared on the jade slip. Most of it was dim, but more than 30 small pieces emitted vibrant colors. The white-robed young man carefully glanced at it, then also took out a jade slip from his storage bag. Under the infusion of spiritual power, a nearly identical image appeared, with more than 20 sparkling points of light on it. Wang Lin glanced at it, and his heart stirred slightly. Among the small pieces of the other parties, 5 belonged to the west. Dao is saying, my map has 21 locations, 8 of which overlap with yours. The duplicates don't count. You delete some so we can exchange them. What do you think? The young man in white said. Wang Lin didn't say anything, took out a blank jade slip, and concentrated on copying. After a while, he copied a number of teleportation points equivalent to the other parties and looked at the other person. The young man in white was also holding a copied jade slip, and it would be finished in a moment. Both simultaneously threw out their jade slips, each reaching out to grab the others. Fellow Dao is saying, if there's a chance to visit the Shattered Silver Star in the future, I will certainly treat you well. All right. Wang Lin nodded. I bid you farewell. That little brat dared to steal my things. I certainly won't let him get away. The young man in white smiled, clasped his hands, and then teleported away, disappearing from the spot. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, took the exchange jade slip, opened the map, and pointed to a small area in the west. A teleportation array immediately appeared before him. Wang Lin stepped in and instantly disappeared. On that small area in the west, there was a mountain, originally shaped like a tiger, but now, this colossal mountain had been split in two. Wang Lin hovered in midair, his gaze silently fixed on the mountain. He had finally found this tiger-shaped mountain on the third small piece of the white-robed young man's jade slip, which belonged to the western side. From the outside, although it differed slightly from the description given by the Heavenly Treasure Immortal, it was fundamentally not far off. Wang Lin's body moved slightly, flying towards the mountain. After circling the mountain once, Wang Lin stopped at a spot on the mountain, having found the cave dwelling of the Heavenly Treasure Immortal. Looking at the cave dwelling, Wang Lin's expression darkened. The outer walls of the cave dwelling were in ruins, bearing traces of magical attacks, clearly indicating it had been destroyed many years ago. Wang Lin paused outside the cave dwelling for a moment before flying inside. This cave wasn't large, and it was completely empty. Wang Lin smiled wryly, having spent so much effort to find this place, only to be a step too late. But then, his expression turned serious. Inside the cave were 9 stone chambers, now completely empty, but Wang Lin's gaze fell on the wall of the largest chamber in the center, his eyes filled with contemplation. The iron fan of the Heavenly Treasure Immortal contained detailed instructions on how to open his cave and also indicated that his cave had 10 stone chambers. The 10th chamber was the one containing the divine archery chariot. There are only 9 chambers here, so why are there 10? Wang Lin raised his eyebrows, his divine consciousness spreading out, scanning the surroundings for a long time. But he couldn't find any hidden chambers. Wang Lin took a few steps forward, approaching the wall. He reached out and touched the surface. The touch was cold, and he found nothing unusual. He pondered for a moment, then patted his storage bag, and the golden iron fin instantly appeared in his hand. Immediately upon appearing, the iron fin suddenly emitted a dazzling light, and an intense heat emanated from within. Wang Lin's heart stirred. He released his grip and tossed the iron fin forward. The light from the iron fin intensified, and gradually, it began to dissipate. Instead of any liquid falling, it transformed into a light smoke, forming a mushroom shape. Within this mushroom-shaped smoke, a phantom figure gradually solidified into a person with an air of immortal grace and a handsome face. Though silent, the figure exuded an air of majesty. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he retreated a few steps, his gaze remaining fixed on the figure. Upon appearing, the figure with the appearance of an immortal immediately performed a hand gesture, sending a beam of yellow light towards the wall. The entire cave dwelling rumbled, unexpectedly beginning to sink. The ground beneath their feet trembled. Wang Lin remained calm, assessing his surroundings. After a long while, the wall stopped sinking, and a pinkish-purple entrance suddenly appeared inside. The figure's hands transformed, forming a strange hand seal pointing towards the pinkish-purple entrance, before slowly dissipating. Even the iron fin completely vanished. Wang Lin took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the pinkish-purple entrance. Including this cave dwelling now contained 10 stone chambers. This illusion must be the likeness of the heavenly treasure immortal from before. The heavenly treasure immortal is indeed a master of alchemy. His cave dwelling must be extremely rare, although discovered. It would be very difficult to find the stone chamber containing the true treasure. Wang Lin thought to himself. His eyes suddenly flashed, and he approached the purplish-pink entrance. After a moment of silence, he formed hand seals similar to the movements of the heavenly treasure immortal earlier, and pressed them against the door. Immediately, the door moved, slowly opening to both sides. Wang Lin's divine consciousness spread out, scanning inside, and his eyes immediately lit up. This 10th stone chamber wasn't very large, perhaps only a few dozen meters. Inside, besides some scattered refining materials, in the center of the chamber were 3 enormous monsters. To say they were enormous monsters wouldn't be an exaggeration. They were covered in many ferocious spikes, and their bodies were clad in a material resembling animal skin. Among these spikes, one in the middle was larger than a person, gleaming with a cold light. This was almost just the outer part. Underneath was a chariot, one used for siege warfare, with 4 enormous wheels. One chariot, a vehicle used for combat. This chariot was approximately 10 zhang in size, and the 3 chariots placed here almost completely occupied the stone chamber. The moment Wang Lin entered this stone chamber, 3 illusory souls immediately appeared on the 3 chariots. These 3 illusory souls were even more ferocious than the chariots themselves, and after transforming, they immediately began to roar. This sound had a mind-shattering effect and a penetrating power. Even the mountain trembled slightly, causing some rocks and earth to fall. This beast had a head as large as a basin, forming a triangle. Its body resembled that of a buffalo, exuding a sense of ferocity. Behind it was a tail like a dragon's, and surprisingly, at the end of the tail were what looked like eyes, a mouth, and a nose. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say this beast had 2 heads. Upon seeing this beast, Wang Lin immediately searched through the memories of the ancient god diagram, but found no records of it. There are many kinds of beasts in the world, and it's not surprising that there are many that diagram didn't know. These 3 spirit beasts all had similar appearances, differing only in size. The spirit beast of the chariot in the middle was slightly larger than the 2 on either side. After these 3 spirit beasts appeared, their huge red eyes immediately stared intently at Wang Lin, revealing a malevolent and ferocious look. They roared and lunged forward, vying to bite Wang Lin, wanting to devour him. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, his eyes calm, but he still took a step back. Seeing the 3 ferocious beast spirits lunge at him, countless iron chains appeared on his body like arms. These iron chains pierced through the entire bodies of the 3 beasts as they lunged towards Wang Lin. When they had gone 3 feet out, these iron chains immediately flashed with dazzling light. 2 iron chains, iron chains. Immediately, the 3 beast spirits let out painful roars, their bodies pulled back by the iron chains, locked to the top of the chariot. Only the larger beast spirit in the middle, despite being pulled back by the iron chains, still managed to lunge forward another foot before being painfully dragged back. But these 3 beast spirits were unwilling to give up, immediately struggling violently, causing the surrounding cave to shake, seemingly on the verge of collapse at any moment. Wang Lin calmed his mind and focused his energy. Although he didn't know the name of this beast, it was meticulously recorded on the iron fan of the heavenly treasure immortal, though some points were unclear. There were beast souls on the divine archer chariot, but they were controlled by the soul chain lock 3, unable to escape more than 3 zhang outside the chariot. Looking at the 3 beast souls struggling, Wang Lin raised his hands and, according to the requirements in the iron fan, quickly performed a strange hand gesture. When this hand gesture left his hand, it immediately transformed into a black light circle 4. For light circle, circle of light. After seeing this light circle, the 3 beast souls struggled even more violently. Gradually, Wang Lin's movements became faster and faster, and the light circles also increased. After a while, seeing that there were more than 100 light circles in the stone chamber, Wang Lin shouted softly, his eyes fixed on the top of the chariot in the center. Seal. Instantly, those spheres of light transformed into streaks of afterimages, obscuring the sky and earth, all converging on the chariot in the center. The beast spirit atop the chariot immediately let out a cry, its eyes revealing unwillingness, and its entire body quickly contracted and entered the chariot. As these spheres of light enveloped it one after another, the chariot suddenly moved slightly and flew into the air. During this ascent, its size gradually changed, becoming smaller and smaller, until it was only the size of a hand, stopping in Wang Lin's hand. Lingering over the girl's corpse, Wang Lin glanced at it briefly before putting it into his storage bag. To use this chariot, he first had to subdue the beast soul. Wang Lin couldn't control this powerful beast soul, so he could only use the technique recorded on the iron fan to temporarily seal it, causing it to fall into a deep sleep. In fact, Heavenly Treasure Venerable didn't expect his chariot to be obtained by a nascent soul cultivator. He thought only nascent soul cultivators were qualified to use it, albeit barely. After taking this chariot, Wang Lin's gaze shifted, stopping on the chariot on the left, using the same method to seal its beast soul. Finally, only one chariot remained in the stone chamber. The beast soul on this chariot was the smallest, but for now, Wang Lin couldn't subdue it either. This beast spirit watched its two companions being sealed one after another, roaring in fury. If it were the Heavenly Treasure Immortal from back then, it might have submitted, but seeing someone who, even in its best state, could kill it with a single bite, its pride refused to allow it to bow down. Wang Lin stared directly at this beast spirit, his heart constantly struggling. He didn't know if he should take a gamble. If he won, he could temporarily subdue this beast. If he lost, it would be somewhat dangerous. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin touched the beast-taming scroll on his wrist. Theoretically, it could trap this beast spirit. But when alive, this beast spirit must have belonged to some kind of immortal beast, so whether the beast-taming scroll could trap it was uncertain. Not to mention, even if he could, he might not be able to withstand the amount of spiritual power it absorbed. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin abandoned his risky plan. His eyes flashed, and he unleashed over 100 black light spheres, sealing both the beast and the chariot. It's a pity I don't know the power of this divine archer chariot. However, the words of the Heavenly Treasure Venerable were very confident, so it's obviously not too bad. Moreover, it has an extremely powerful beast soul sealed on it, so its power will surely not disappoint me. It's just a pity I can't use it now, Wang Lin muttered to himself, his gaze sweeping around, stopping at some refining materials inside the stone chamber. He swept them all up, collecting them into his storage bag, and checked them once more before leaving. Outside the purplish-pink door, Wang Lin followed the Heavenly Treasure Venerable's technique, causing the wall to slowly rise, restoring it to its original state before exiting the cave. This divine archery chariot is truly miraculous. Unexpectedly, it doesn't require spirit stones to operate, but relies entirely on the soul power of the beast's soul to activate it. Therefore, it saves a considerable amount of spirit stones. However, if this chariot truly needed spirit stones, it's likely only Immortal Jade could provide them. While flying through the air, Wang Lin's mind raced with thoughts. I wonder if activating the divine archery chariot will affect the beast's soul. According to common sense, it's impossible for it to be used endlessly without ever exhausting its life force. Therefore, I fear that after activating the chariot several times, the beast's soul will be damaged, and after a certain number of times, the beast's soul might even dissipate. It's a pity that the Heavenly Treasure Venerable didn't record this in the Iron Fen. Wang Lin looked up at the sky, pondering in his heart. Presumably, on that day, before the death of the Heavenly Treasure Immortal, there wasn't much time left, so I couldn't meticulously record everything. I could only select some important things to note down. The matters related to this divine archery chariot still require more research. Wang Lin took a deep breath, patted his storage bag, and a joyful smile appeared on his lips. This trip to the immortal realm has been very fruitful, though also very risky. I fear that if I had been even slightly careless when that small fragment collapsed, I would have lost my life by now. The saying, the greater the adventure, the greater the reward, is indeed true. Therefore, I must carefully consider the invitation from Chihu, while suspended in midair. Wang Lin's eyes blinked incessantly. In a small fragment to the south of the immortal realm, 3 people were currently attacking their various spells, creating layers upon layers of shockwaves. On a plain more than 10,000 miles away from where these 3 were, a middle-aged man held a gourd in his hand, drinking wine and shaking his head as he said, "Dinger, don't be impatient. I will quickly obtain the immortal jade for you, so that your body will remain unchanged for 1,000 years. This middle-aged man was indeed from the Vermilion Bird Star, just like Wang Lin. He walked around the plain drinking wine. After a long time, he stopped, bowed his head and looked down at the ground, his eyes revealing a hint of reminiscence, and murmured, "Dinger, do you still remember this place? It was here that I met you all those years ago. It's a pity that now the scenery remains but the person is gone." He sighed softly, gently stepping on the ground with his right foot, and immediately his whole body sank down, disappearing from the spot in an instant. He continued to sink underground. After a long time, he reappeared inside a huge cave. Inside this cave is a very large pavilion, its exterior covered by a blue gas. The middle-aged man took a step forward, passing through the blue mist, and entered the pavilion. The pavilion had 3 floors, and the interior was relatively simple, no different from an ordinary person's house. But a refined and ethereal atmosphere enveloped it. After entering, his eyes softened as he caressed the objects in the room, finally sitting on a chair and murmuring, "Dinger, it was here that I met you all those years ago." His eyes showed deep affection. He gently took out a pagoda from his storage bag, lightly pointed his right hand, and immediately a white light shone out from within. After the light faded, the corpse of a girl appeared in the middle-aged man's arms. His eyes softened as he looked at the face of the female corpse one, smiling softly, "Dinger, look, we've come home." One female corpse, the body of a girl. This girl had an extremely beautiful appearance, exuding an ethereal aura, like a celestial fairy. Her skin was as white as snow, yet still had a hint of rosy hue. If someone said she was still alive, many would probably believe it. When she appeared, for some reason, she immediately seemed to blend in with the entire scenery of this building. It was as if this place belonged to her. The man gently stroked the girl's face, the deep affection in his eyes deepening. He smiled and said, "That year, the first time I saw you, I knew you would definitely be my wife for life. Do you like the name Dinger? This is the name I gave you." After whispering, he bowed his head and gently kissed the female corpse's forehead, his eyes showing satisfaction. "For you, I gave up the position of sect leader. For you, I didn't hesitate to give up my fellow disciples. Dinger, I have no regrets. Absolutely no regrets. Let those people call me crazy, but I know I'm not crazy at all." The man caressed the female corpse's face, and after a long while, he stood up. "Dinger, let's go upstairs and see. There's your dressing table there. See how your husband dressed you." The man smiled, carrying the female corpse upstairs to the 2nd floor. At the dressing table on the 2nd floor, the man set the corpse down, picked up an eyeliner pen, his eyes filled with deep affection, and said, "Are you happy, Dinger?" "I'm very happy." "Speak up. Why don't you answer me? Aren't you happy? Speak up, speak up. Why won't you say anything?" The man's voice grew louder and louder. He threw down the eyeliner pen, grabbed the corpse, shook it back and forth, and shouted, shattering the table beside him. After a long while, the man suddenly startled, embracing the female corpse and whispering, "I'm sorry, Dinger, please don't blame me. I was wrong. I will never yell at you again. No one can take you away from me, no one at all. Whoever dares to steal you from me, I will kill them. Kill, kill, kill." He took a deep breath, kissed the female corpse's lips a few times, and smiled, saying, "Dinger, look, this building was on the verge of collapse back then. It was I who used force to keep it standing until today, because this is your home, or rather, our home. You must be tired, right? Then rest for a while." The man embraced the female corpse, laid her down on the bed, and sat beside her, gazing at her with deep, tender affection in his eyes. "Dinger, when I first met you that year, you were lying just like this, exactly the same. Do you remember that year when I first came to the immortal realm? The reason was to seize the immortal artifact. But after meeting you here, I knew you were the wife of my life. I've been here with you for a long time." He finished speaking, placing his hand on her, stroking her as he spoke. "You're still so perfect you're mine. No one can take you away. Dinger, tell me, I know you like me too, right? Compared to the immortal artifact, you are my true treasure. The middle-aged man smiled, lying down beside the female corpse, whispering, "Very well, Dinger, let's rest for a night. Tomorrow, your husband will continue searching for the immortal jade. Sleep well, don't be afraid. I'm here." Wang Lin flew through the air, his eyes filled with determination. The 1-month deadline is also fast approaching. He was determined to go to the place mentioned by Shadhu. Leaving aside the 3 immortal swords, the sheer size of the immortal jade alone was enough to tempt him. With such a large quantity of immortal jade, Wang Lin believed that when he reached the late stage of the transformation god realm, breaking through to the nascent soul realm would be much easier. For Wang Lin, the nascent soul realm held a different significance. Only by reaching the nascent soul realm could Sichuan awaken. Although Wang Lin was currently only in the early stage of the transformation god realm, the distance to the late stage was still vast, and he didn't know how many years it would take to reach it. But he wasn't worried. He knew that the path of cultivation couldn't be rushed. Water flows into a river, naturally taking shape. Moreover, some immortal herbs in the pond also tempted him. If he gave these immortal herbs to Li Muan, he could certainly refine some extremely rare elixirs. Therefore, after consuming them, Li Muan's cultivation would undoubtedly be enhanced. Unless such medicinal herbs were extremely potent, Wang Lin wouldn't easily consume them. After all, with his current cultivation level, what mattered most was comprehension. Using elixirs wasn't the right path for him. However, if he were to use herbs from the immortal realm to create elixirs, it would certainly be different. Having made up his mind, Wang Lin's body soared higher and higher, gradually escaping the small space and heading towards the enormous vortex. At the vortex, he opened the jade slip to reach the agreed meeting place with Chihu. At this moment, in a small area in the center of the immortal realm, Chihu of the giant demon clan sat cross-legged. Before him was a teleportation array. Chihu's gaze remained calm. He had been sitting there for 7 or 8 days, and several thieves who had approached had all become his ghosts. He was waiting here for those too. Shadhu was confident that they would definitely agree to come, thus giving him a 70% chance of returning victorious from this trip. He believed that after examining the jade slip, they would be tempted. After all, it was so alluring that no one could resist. Therefore, Shadhu wasn't in a hurry. He had carefully chosen the 2 before deciding to invite them. He wouldn't mention the first one for now. His reputation was already great, and he also had some deep connections with his giant demon clan. As for the second one, named Zhang Niu, Shadhu admitted that he himself couldn't see through him. Although his cultivation was only at the early stage of the god transformation realm, Shadhu always sensed a hint of danger emanating from him. He had thought carefully before deciding to invite him. After all, the stronger the opponent, the higher the chance of success this time. Even if the opponent wanted to kill him and seize his treasure, Shadhu wouldn't be afraid. He believed that his cultivation level was sufficient to handle such a situation. Time passed slowly. One day, the formation before him suddenly flashed brightly. The light grew increasingly dazzling, almost illuminating everything around him. But this blinding light had no effect on Shadhu. He stared intently at the teleportation formation, thinking to himself, "Who is this person?" When the light reached its peak, it suddenly dimmed, and immediately afterward, a striking figure emerged from the center of the formation. Her appearance was extremely beautiful, but she possessed an icy coldness that struck fear into anyone who saw her. A chilling aura emanated from behind her, spreading in all directions. Even a shower of snowflakes fell from the sky, a terrifying sight. Shadhu's eyes flashed, and he thought to himself, "It's her." He burst into laughter, stood up, clasped his hands together, and said, "Daoist Hong Dai, I've been waiting for you for a long time." This person is indeed the proud daughter of the Snow Region Kingdom. Her eyes were icy cold as she glanced at Chihu, then stepped out of the formation and said indifferently, "If what you said is false, I will certainly not let it go." Chihu's eyes showed confidence as he smiled and said, "Daoist Hong Dai, rest assured, I won't hide anything more. This jade slip is recorded by the ancestor Jiyu of our giant demon clan. He wouldn't lie." Ancestor Ji. Hong Dai's expression softened slightly. This ancestor Ji was a senior to her master, and they had a long-standing friendship. After all, on the Vermilion Bird Star, the only cultivation nations that existed in tribal form were the Giant Demon Clan and the Snow Region Clan. These two clans naturally interacted quite frequently. It could be said that the Giant Clan is an ally of the Snow Region Clan. Since the ancestor himself witnessed it, this matter is certainly not fake. Alright, I'll go with you. I don't need the other things, but that jade coffin must be mine. Hong Dai's voice was resolute. Shadhu raised his eyebrows, thinking Hong Dai was being overly arrogant. Although he wasn't particularly interested in the jade coffin, he absolutely had to get those 3 immortal swords. However, if it were just the 2 of them, it would be easier to handle. But after they divided them up, Zhang Nia might be left with nothing. Hong Dai, I'm afraid this isn't good. After all, besides you and me, there's another person. He will also be participating in this trip. Shadhu pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "What? Who is it?" Hong Dai's expression remained unchanged, calmly saying, "Zhang Niu, just like you and me. He's also from the Vermilion Bird Star." Shadhu said, "From the Vermilion Bird Star." Hong Deep was stunned, trying to recall the other 4 people. Just then, the formation in front of them suddenly flashed brightly. After the light reached its peak, a tall figure emerged from the teleportation array. "It's him!" Hong Deep's eyes flashed, and without a word, she pointed forward. Immediately, a white spiritual incantation shot like lightning towards the teleportation array. Boom! 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 The spiritual incantation, like thunder and lightning, rushed forward with a sharp sound. The figure that appeared in the formation was indeed Wang Lin. As soon as he appeared, he immediately sensed danger. He stomped his feet, causing the formation to collapse, and Wang Lin retreated like a wisp of smoke. At the same time, he threw the beast-taming scroll on his wrist forward, emitting a deafening sound, transforming into a thunder cauldron, instantly spitting out a huge lightning ball, aimed directly at the incantation. At the same time, Wang Lin's arm trembled, and the Forbidden's banner appeared in his hand. Immediately, countless Forbidden's artifacts roared out, their sounds echoing more than 10 miles away. Wang Lin's eyes were sharp and agile, focusing on Hong Dai inside the Forbidden's banner. "Go!" With this command, the Forbidden's artifacts formed a ferocious dragon, roaring fiercely and charging forward aggressively. Hong Dai's face was cold. She lightly tapped her foot, flying backward, and at the same time, her right hand flipped up, and an ice statue appeared in her hand. The shape of this ice statue was exactly the same as the human-headed snake-bodied creature won from that year, but its eyes were tightly closed. As soon as this ice statue appeared, a blue light immediately emanated from its closed eyes, shooting forward, carrying a dark aura. One human-headed snake-bodied creature, boom! The white seal and the lightning ball collided. A powerful surge of energy erupted, creating a wave of air that rose more than half a person's height, spreading rapidly in all directions. At this moment, the dark blue light in the ice statue's eyes surged, and the lightning ball, struck by the dark blue light, immediately emitted a series of cracking sounds. Following this, countless ice shards quickly appeared from the outside, spreading out at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, the lightning ball in midair was completely covered in ice. Its exterior a dark blue, its interior swirling with beautiful dark purple lightning. The blue light didn't stop, but continued to spread backward. The lightning frog let out a miserable groan, contracting its belly, wanting to spit out another lightning ball. But when its body was illuminated by the blue light, it instantly froze, its belly remaining contracted, but the lightning ball dissipated inside. Even the evil dragon transformed from the Forbidden's artifact was now blocked by the blue light, showing signs of being frozen. At this moment, the magical artifact in Hong Dai's hand possessed immense power, aiming to kill Wang Lin on the spot with a single strike. Wang Lin's attack was blocked, his eyes flashing. He dodged backward, pointing his right hand at his forehead. Numerous dark shadows shot out from his forehead, transforming into a swarm of wandering souls, howling around Wang Lin. Wang Lin leapt forward, hovering in midair. At this moment, he resembled a demon god, his eyes flashing with an eerie light. Devouring! With this single word, over 10,000 wandering souls around him transformed into a monstrous demon, howling and charging forward, attacking Hong Dai without regard for their own lives. The lingering effects of the blue light were negligible to the wandering souls. After all, their bodies possessed a certain degree of resistance to all magical attacks. Stop! Shanhu finally reacted, raising his eyebrows and immediately shouting. Hong Deep's expression changed. She let out a cold laugh and retreated. The wandering spirit charged forward, its powerful energy spreading in all directions, relentlessly pursuing her. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with killing intent, and the Forbidden's banner in his hand trembled. Immediately, dozens of Forbidden's artifacts shot out, intertwining to form a black spear. Under his finger, it thrust towards Hong Deep. This spear was like an illusion, as fast as lightning, following closely behind the wandering spirit, roaring as it charged forward. Hong Deep retreated again. Her right hand pressed against the ice statue, which instantly grew larger, transforming into a towering figure that blocked her path. She shouted loudly, and the eyes of the human-headed, snake-bodied beast on the ice statue seemed to come alive, opening eerily. Instantly, a beam of blue light shot out from the ice statue, reaching a height of 10,000 feet. Struck by the blue light, some of the wandering souls vanished in midair. Originally arrogant and fearless, they now unexpectedly felt a flicker of fear, hesitating to advance further. But the spear, formed from a Forbidden's artifact, still flashed like lightning, shattering the blue light and rushing forward. Wang Lin's figure moved slightly, immediately charging forward, following closely behind the spear, shouting, Hong Dai. Your failure to care for your parents before their death is unfilial. Seeing Wang Lin advance, these wandering souls did not retreat, following him. Wang Lin was like a black peacock, and the wandering souls like fanned-out tails, adding to his imposing presence. You, for your personal gain, have murdered an entire sect that is inhumane. The black spear, like a splitting bamboo, shattered every blue light, causing intense vibrations to spread in all directions, even creating countless cracks in the surrounding space. These cracks spread, even tearing the surface of the rocky mountain below into tiny pieces. You unjustly targeted me with murderous intent. The Forbidden's energy frozen beneath the ground instantly broke free, quickly merging into the spear, making it even longer. At the same time, as Wang Lin charged forward to attack, the Forbidden's banner in his hand continuously emitted streams of Forbidden's energy merging into the spear, making its color even darker and its momentum even more formidable. Your master is still alive, yet you betrayed the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. This is disloyalty. This spear, formed after the Forbidden's banner's completion, gathered all existing Forbidden's energy, making it the sharpest spear ever. Wang Lin descended from the sky, countless wandering souls like a towering sun, their power greatly amplified. This spear strike was like shattering the sky, instantly seizing the opportune moment. The ground was torn apart and broken into pieces. Everywhere was fractured. At this moment, he had the advantage of the terrain. A fierce spear strike caused the sky to collapse and the earth to split. Even a mid-stage god transformation cultivator would bleed on the spot under this spear strike. You are unfilial, inhumane, unjust, and disloyal. What path are you following in your cultivation? Your Tao heart is not at peace. I want to see how your cultivation will progress in the future. Shathu's body involuntarily retreated several steps, his eyes showing fear. He didn't expect that Zhang Niu would have such a terrifying move. Human treasure unification too. Shathu was shocked. His eyes lit up, revealing a hint of fighting spirit. But he quickly suppressed it. This person must be a genius of the Zheng clan. If I hadn't used the family's treasure, I'm afraid I would have been unable to avoid this attack. However, Hong Dai is a late-stage transformation god cultivator. This Zheng Niu is indeed an extraordinary person. Unexpectedly, he also knew to destroy Hong Dai's Tao heart first. To human treasure unification, person and magic treasure unification. After all, Hong Dai lived for 100 years less than Wang Lin. Her ability to see through worldly affairs cannot be compared to these old monsters, and her temperament is also much weaker. Wang Lin's words, each word falling into Hong Dai's ears, made her eyes flash, her face showed anger, and her body retreated backward. Wang Lin kept rushing forward. Hong Dai did not resist, but kept retreating. Wang Lin's combat experience far surpassed Hong Dai's, so he took the opportunity to pursue, leaving not a trace of mercy. Hong Dai's eyes revealed intense killing intent. She was originally a favored daughter of the Snow Region Kingdom, and since birth, she had never encountered such a humiliating sight. Previously, as soon as the ice statue appeared, even a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, a realm equivalent to hers, could only flee for their lives. Moreover, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom paid considerable attention to her, so she was inevitably somewhat arrogant. This single strike from Wang Lin unexpectedly instilled fear in her. The power of this strike wasn't great, but it contained the aura of a strange magical artifact. Within this aura, there was even a hint of the threat of a lightning tribulation. But after all, she was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. At this moment, her eyes flashed. Her hands quickly formed a hand seal, suddenly pointing to her forehead, and immediately spitting out a mouthful of immortal blood. Within this mouthful of immortal blood, a pink light flashed. As soon as this pink light appeared, it instantly transformed into a beautiful, vibrant rose. The moment this flower appeared, the ice statue before her instantly transformed into a pool of blue liquid, swirling around the flower like nourishment, instantly making it even more beautiful. Wang Lin's spear rushed forward, striking the flower with a loud bang, causing several petals to fall off. In an instant, Wang Lin's expression changed slightly, his spear shattered. Han Dai's face flushed an unusual crimson, but the redness dissipated in a flash. Wang Lin sighed softly. Even such a perfectly timed attack couldn't kill her. Late-stage god transformation cultivators are indeed powerful. As he retreated, a wave of ruthless intent instantly enveloped him. You are the first to force me to use my life-bound magic weapon. You can close your eyes now. Han Dai stared intently at Wang Lin, who was rapidly retreating, gritting her teeth as she spoke each word. At the same time, she extended her delicate arm and plucked a petal from the flower. Stop, Han Dai, fellow Taoist. Brother Zhang, you two were invited here by me. If you continue fighting, don't blame me for being impolite. Shathu shouted, his body soaring into the air. Shathu, fellow Taoist, this wasn't initiated by me. Wang Lin took a deep breath, fully resisting the ruthless intent, his voice cold. Han Dai's expression turned icy, glancing at Shathu and saying, it has nothing to do with you, step back. Shathu's expression changed. He stared at Han Dai, laughing loudly. Han Dai, fellow Taoist, I cannot remain uninvolved in this matter. Han Dai didn't utter a word, pushing the flower in her hand forward. The flower slowly floated towards Wang Lin. At this moment, the ground suddenly began to shake, and even in the air, numerous cracks appeared. Clearly, the power of this flower had exceeded the extreme limits of this small fragment of the immortal realm. Crimson butterfly. Shathu shouted. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he patted his storage bag. In an instant, a forbidden's banner appeared in his hand. He shook his hand, and the forbidden's banner detached and flew into the air. Wang Lin softly uttered two words, guide the tribulation. Unless absolutely necessary, Wang Lin truly did not want to use this forbidden's banner to guide the heavenly tribulation down. If the heavenly tribulation struck while this small fragment shattered, Wang Lin didn't know if he would be lucky enough to escape. The forbidden's banner flew into the air, transforming into a circular mist that descended from the sky, covering a radius of 10 miles. At this moment, rumbling sounds echoed within that 10-mile radius. Wang Lin's hands quickly transformed, forming a forbidden spell. Simply throwing this forbidden's formation into the air above, this forbidden's banner would instantly acquire 99 sets of forbidden's formations, triggering a heavenly tribulation to strike down. Han Dai's expression changed as she stared at the forbidden's formation in Wang Lin's hand, then at the black mist in the air. A strong sense of danger immediately arose in her heart. She had never experienced this feeling before, but at this moment, she felt that if she allowed the other party to continue as they pleased, she would surely face bloodshed today. Small fragments overlapping. At this moment, Shathu's expression also changed drastically. His whole body hovered in midair, glancing up at the black mist. He sighed inwardly, thinking that Zhang Yu hadn't even used his full strength. This black mist was probably his true life-saving treasure. Taoist Han Dai, you two were both invited by me. If you still insist on attacking, you'll be putting me in an unjust position. I will certainly resist alongside Brother Zhang. If I don't die, I will definitely report the details to the ancestor upon my return. Shathu shouted. After saying this, a phantom figure appeared behind Shathu. This phantom figure was over 10 jang tall, like an ancient giant, its eyes flashing with intense light, staring intently at Han Dai. Han Deep couldn't help but hesitate. She judged that Zhang Yu's magic was far from simple, and moreover, the illusory figure behind Qi who had clearly solidified. If she still insisted on attacking, this small fragment would surely collapse. After a moment of hesitation, She lightly tapped her right hand, and the flower immediately stopped in midair. All right, Shihu, today I'll show you some respect and not kill this person. But that white jade coffin must belong to me. Shihu raised his eyebrows, about to speak, when at that moment, Wang Lin burst into laughter. Hong Deep, do you really think I can't kill you? Wang Lin's eyes showed a half smile. Hong Dai's expression immediately turned very unpleasant. Brother Zhang, I'll take charge. This time, we'll divide everything we gain. How about that? Shat-Hu said, cupping his hands. All right, everything as Brother Shat-Hu says. Wang Lin smiled. In fact, it would be best if he could avoid the heavenly tribulation today. There was only one of these, and after using it, given the structural limitations of this immortal realm, he would find it very difficult to escape when it collapsed. That wouldn't be good. On the other hand, Wang Lin calculated that after leaving the immortal realm on the Vermilion Bird Star, where there were no restrictions like here, it would be the best opportunity to finish her off. Taoist Hong Dai, please put away your magic treasure. Shat-Hu turned to look at Hong Dai and said. Hong Dai snorted softly, her right hand summoning the flower back, the entire rose disappearing at her forehead. Zheng Niu, return to the Vermilion Bird Star. Do you dare to fight me? Hong Dai stared at Wang Lin, uttering each word distinctly. Wang Lin laughed loudly, raising his voice. I'll oblige. Wang Lin's hand flicked the forbidden spell, and the immortal energy dissipated completely. The black mist in the sky, under his mental control, condensed into a funnel shape, transforming into a forbidden spanner, which he then retrieved into his storage bag. As for Lei Washington, Wang Lin also retrieved it. However, this Lei Washington was severely injured, its demeanor listless. The killing intent in Wang Lin's heart intensified. Han Dai looked deeply at Wang Lin. She couldn't help but admit that this person was qualified to fight her. Shat-Hu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He inwardly chuckled wryly. If he had known earlier that these two had a long-standing feud, he absolutely wouldn't have invited them. Han Dai was one thing, but Zheng Niu, with his early-stage nascent soul cultivation, could fight against a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Such a character was certainly not simple. He would undoubtedly achieve great things on the Vermilion Bird Star. And it wasn't impossible for him to even be taken as a disciple by the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Very well, Taoist Hong Dai, Brother Zheng Niu, you to follow me. The place recorded in the jade slip is still quite far from here. Shat-Hu took a deep breath, clasped his hands, and then moved swiftly forward. Hong Dai didn't even glance at Wang Lin again, transforming into a red cloud and chasing after Shat-Hu, flying alongside him, clearly unwilling to be left behind. A hint of mockery appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he followed behind. Ultimately, her Dao heart is still unstable. Reaching the God transformation stage within 100 years, while a miracle, still leaves many flaws. Her character is still considerably inferior. Why bother calculating the consequences of simply flying away? Wang Lin muttered to himself. With my current cultivation, fighting her, without utilizing the heavenly tribulation power of the forbidden spanner, I have no chance of winning. My life and death intent is very difficult to shake her ruthless intent, which is nearing completion. But if I reach the mid-stage of God transformation, then using the life and death intent will definitely affect her. Even without using the heavenly tribulation power, I'm 70% certain I can defeat her. Wang Lin's life and death intent developed from the cycle of the heavenly Tao. However, with his current early-stage God transformation cultivation, he couldn't fully unleash the transformations of life and death. After all, he had only just comprehended the heavenly Tao. Only upon reaching the mid-stage of the God transformation realm will the life and death intent be elevated to a higher level. With the power of this intent, he can certainly counter her unintentional intent. I wonder if she has already reached the point of separating intent from the techniques? However, with her unstable Dao heart, she hasn't reached that level yet. Compared to her, I've progressed a step faster, Wang Lin thought to himself. After reaching the God transformation realm, Wang Lin realized that all the cultivation techniques in the world, except for the extremely profound divine abilities, had become useless. A God transformation realm cultivator can unleash the power of heaven and earth with just a wave of their hand. So how they utilize it depends on their own understanding of the intent. The life and death intent is ever-changing. It can be summed up in one word: transformation. However, even this single word, transformation, is not easy to fully comprehend. Currently, Wang Lin is only at the entry level. Only when the entire essence and all its transformations are contained and encompassed within a single spell can the essence of life and death be considered to have reached its peak. Raising both hands, transforming life and death, utilizing the rules of heaven and earth, altering reincarnation. While flying, Wang Lin carefully recalled the recent battle with Hong Dai, extracting his insights. The three were not leisurely individuals, naturally flying at a very fast speed. Not long after, under the guidance of Chi-Hu, they arrived at another small part of the immortal realm where there was a large mountain. This mountain was shaped like a dragon. The dragon's head was ethereal, sometimes visible, sometimes hidden in the midst of truly rare and ethereal place. Brother Chi-Hu, why hasn't the location recorded in the jade slip been discovered by anyone until now? This question still needs your answer. Wang Lin glanced at the mountain and slowly said. Shadhu, suspended in midair, smiled and said, to be honest, Brother Zheng, the reason I can be so certain is because the location of the fragment recorded in the jade slip cannot be reached by a whirlwind. Wang Lin's eyes showed interest. Hong Dai's gaze also became serious as she looked at Shadhu. Shadhu smiled again and said, the fragment recorded in the jade slip is an extremely rare place in the immortal realm, a place of overlapping fragments. Wang Lin's expression changed slightly, and he immediately understood. Most of the fragments of the immortal realm split without any pattern. Only under extreme coincidence did a few fragments appear together in the same place, making them very difficult to detect. Even if a whirlwind descended, it would only reach the first fragment at the top. No one would expect that there would be another fragment beneath that fragment. In this way, it's indeed possible to ensure that no one will discover it. Furthermore, even the first small fragment isn't something you can just casually enter. The conditions inside are fundamentally unsuitable for constructing a teleportation array, so even if someone accidentally enters, it's very difficult to stay. Shadhu said with a smile. Hong Dai sneered. How did Lord Jizu discover it back then? Hong Dai, this matter concerns a great secret of the giant demon clan. I cannot reveal it, Shadhu said, a glint flashing in his eyes. Wang Lin looked at the dragon-shaped mountain, saying nothing. Shadhu's body moved slightly, flying towards the mountaintop. Very quickly, the three of them arrived at the mountaintop, landing on the dragon's head. Shadhu's divine consciousness swept across, saying, last month, I came here to investigate, and the teleportation array here is still intact. After entering the teleportation array, he could reach the nearest place to that small fragment. Having said that, he stepped forward, stopping his foot on an empty spot. Immediately, a flash of light appeared on the ground, and Chi-Hu's figure vanished. Hong Dai glanced at Wang Lin, her eyes flickering, and without a word, entered the array. Only after Hong Dai's figure disappeared did Wang Lin leisurely step down and enter the array. A small piece near the south among countless small pieces of the immortal realm, this place has extremely harsh conditions, with destructive cold currents everywhere, and the entire ground is frozen. When Wang Lin came out of the formation, he immediately raised his eyebrows. But Hong Dai's face showed a look of enjoyment. Obviously, for her, this place was not harsh at all, but rather very comfortable. Hong Dai, fellow Taoist, this is the way to the first small piece. 30,000 miles to the east is a place with 10,000 years of ice. There, you need your divine power to withstand the cold currents. Beyond these cold currents is the void one devoured by the immortal realm. I have a compass that can guide us so that we don't get lost in this void. Brother Zhang, it seems you have soul cultivation, which is best used in the void, so I hope you can give it your all. After crossing the void, we can enter the first layer. One void, space. Anyway, there's no teleportation array there. Only this way can we ensure the three of us get in. Shadhu said in a low voice. After hearing this, Wang Lin understood clearly. This Shadhu was looking for him because he saw that the wandering soul was very suitable for this situation. It's likely that with the help of the wandering soul on the way there, they would easily get through. Hong Dai's body moved forward, flying towards the far east. Gradually, the figures of the three disappeared into the distance. However, after flying a few miles, Wang Lin looked back at the place they had just been, his eyes showing a hint of doubt. For the three of them, even 300,000 miles would take some time. One day, the three of them had traveled 300,000 miles, and this was the easternmost point of the small piece. Not far from here, the ground seemed to be torn apart, and an unusual cut appeared. Below it was a black void. 100 yards away from the Great Land, there was a deep blue glacier stretching as far as the eye could see. A portion of it connected to the Great Land. Although connected to the Great Land, the glacier hovered in the space above it. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes, looking around, and suddenly said, "Brother Shathu, is there anything miraculous about the first layer of shattered fragments? Or are there any points of concentrated immortal realm energy there? That place has been severely damaged. There probably isn't any immortal realm energy left besides. Our clan's ancestor never mentioned anything miraculous. Only that it's relatively dangerous," Shathu said. "If that's the case, I won't ask any more questions," Wang Lin said, turning to look into the distance. Hong Dai's gaze fell on Wang Lin. Without a word, she moved slightly, traversing a distance of over 100 yards and gently landing on the glacier. Shathu took a deep breath and followed closely behind. While he was still in midair, Wang Lin also moved forward. The two stood one after the other on the bank of the glacier. The moment they landed, a chill permeated their legs and body. Wang Lin's spiritual power circulated, instantly dispelling the cold air. "This place still requires the divine abilities of fellow Taoist Hong. You shouldn't hold back," Shathu said with a smile. Hong Dai said nothing, flying forward. Shathu smiled at Wang Lin, and the two followed closely behind. Throughout the journey, Hong Dai's speed was very fast. The further they went, the denser the cold air became, and the blue of the glacier grew even darker. Occasionally, gusts of wind blew from afar, biting cold that felt like it was cutting through flesh. They hadn't gone far when a middle-aged man appeared at the point where the land met the glacier. He held a gourd in his hand. After taking a large gulp, he muttered to himself, "Dinger. Once I get the immortal jade, we'll leave immediately. Those three, like me, are from the Vermilion Bird Star land, but if they dare to compete with me for the jade, I will kill them." As he spoke, he slowly advanced. Wang Lin and the other two continued flying rapidly over the glacier. Suddenly, Wang Lin saw a layer of green mist in the distance, seemingly engulfing the entire sky and earth, heading towards them. The glacier's cold mist contains extreme ice jet. "Fellow Taoist Hong Dai, everything depends on you," Shathu said, his eyes flashing. Hong Dai said nothing, lightly patting her storage bag. Immediately, an ice sculpture flew out, transforming into a gigantic snow immortal, over 10 meters tall, standing before her. As soon as the ice sculpture appeared, it flew forward. In an instant, the green mist reached it, but upon encountering the ice sculpture, it quickly dispersed to the sides. The ice sculpture, like a splitting bamboo, cut through the mist and opened a path. "Fellow Taoist Hong's ice sculpture is truly miraculous. I am truly impressed," Shathu said with a smile. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he carefully observed the snow immortal ice sculpture. He discovered hundreds of snow meridians moving rapidly within it. Besides these snow meridians, there were also many dull, unactivated meridians inside. This must be an important magical artifact of the Snow Domain Kingdom, with an effect similar to that of the snake-headed creature, Wang Lin thought to himself. The three quickly traversed the path opened by the snow immortal ice sculpture. The green mist grew thicker and thicker. Soon, cracking sounds emanated from the ice sculpture, and a crack appeared. Hong Dai frowned, chanted a spell, and pointed at the ice sculpture. Immediately, the dull, unactivated snow meridians on the ice sculpture lit up and quickly joined the active ones. With the addition of the snow meridian, the cracks on the ice sculpture gradually disappeared. The entire ice sculpture emitted waves of cold, gloomy air. Far behind the three, the middle-aged man holding a gourd drank as he advanced. The blue mist that approached his body was immediately blocked by a force surrounding him. If the mist was too dense, the middle-aged man would spit out some of the wine in his mouth. Immediately, it melted like ice and snow, quickly dissipating. "Dinger, the coldness of this mist is not even 1,000th of your body. Your body is so strong, holding you in my arms makes me feel at ease." Several days later, the blue mist gradually faded. In the past few days, Hong Dai had to change the ice sculpture 3 times. The coldness of the mist became increasingly intense. Eventually, a purple mist appeared, causing the ice sculpture to shatter. Hong Dai had to use her life-bound magic treasure, a rose-shaped artifact, to overcome it. Her spiritual power was severely depleted, and her complexion was even paler. However, her eyes occasionally glanced at Wang Lin, showing a wary expression. Throughout the journey, Wang Lin felt terrified. If he were alone, he couldn't have traveled such a long distance, especially the purple mist. Just touching the remaining mist made Wang Lin feel his body chilled. Even an ordinary late-stage nascent soul cultivator would likely have difficulty here. Only those with ice-related cultivation techniques like Hong Dai could safely pass through. Shadhu's decision to have Hong Dai join them was clearly premeditated. Time slowly passed. The green mist finally dissipated. When the three arrived at the edge of the Ice River, Hong Dai's expression remained unchanged as she coldly said, "I have completed what needed to be done. I will not interfere with the rest." Shadhu laughed heartily, clasped his hands together, and said, "Leave the rest to us. You've depleted too much spiritual power these past few days. You need to rest." He stood between the two, his gaze sweeping towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled. If Shadhu hadn't been there, he might have intervened. But Shadhu's actions showed that if he did, Shadhu would certainly stop him. Besides, Wang Lin simply didn't believe Hong Dai could be so weak. He suspected she was deliberately feigning this condition to provoke him into action. Moreover, even if her spiritual power was truly depleted, she would surely have elixirs to replenish it. With Wang Lin's cunning, would he really be fooled by this brat? Shadhu lightly patted his storage bag, and a beam of green light flew out. As soon as the beam of light appeared, it instantly grew larger, transforming into an enormous compass, flying in the pitch-black void about 10 meters ahead. The giant clan's treasure, the star compass. Hong Dai's gaze was fixed on the compass, her voice cold. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he looked at the compass. Many complex and mysterious shapes were engraved on it. Wang Lin glanced at it and felt as if his entire consciousness was being drawn into it. He recoiled in surprise. In his memories from the ancient god diagram, there was also a description of the star compass, even a method for crafting it. However, many of the materials had become extinct. If it were a real star compass, my cultivation level wouldn't allow me to use it at all. This is just a fake star compass. Compared to a real star compass, its effectiveness is far inferior, Shadhu said with a smile. Hong Dai looked at the compass and nodded. Hong Dai, there's a protective aura at the western end of the compass. You can sit there to restore your cultivation. I guarantee no one will disturb you on this journey through the void, Shadhu said, then smiled at Wang Lin. Hong Dai didn't say a word, walked to the west, and sat cross-legged. Immediately, a blue aura surrounded her. Brother Zhang, you're still needed to guard the east. There are many strange things in this void world that we don't know about. We still need your soul refining technique to observe and inform me so I can change direction in time. In this void world, don't carelessly release your divine consciousness, otherwise you'll bring disaster upon yourself. This is the advice of our clan's ancestor from back then. After SNTH finished speaking, he leapt forward and landed in the center of the compass, sitting cross-legged. Wang Lin pondered for a long time, then flew eastward and sat down. Brother SNTH, it would be best if there were 5 people on this compass, Wang Lin said, looking to the north and south. That's right, if there were 2 more, we could ensure this journey wouldn't encounter any obstacles. But those treasures aren't enough to share among 5 people, SNTH said with a smile, then took a deep breath. He moved his hands, pressing on the compass, and said, Brother Zhang, in the void world, if this compass shatters, the 3 of us won't survive. This is very important. I hope Brother Zhang will do his best. I'm using all my strength to control this compass, so I'm not in a position to deal with it. Everything depends on you, Wang Lin nodded, holding the Forbidden's banner in his hand. Immediately, black smoke enveloped his entire body. If, while he was casting his spell, either Shadhu or Hong Dai were to attack him, this Forbidden's banner could hinder him to some extent, giving him time to counterattack. Being prepared is always necessary. Shadhu's eyes flickered, but he didn't pay attention. On the contrary, he felt it was only natural. If it were him, he would do the same. He closed his eyes, and as soon as he released his spiritual power, the compass immediately started moving. In an instant, it had traveled several thousand feet. This wasn't teleportation, but rather using extremely fast speed to glide. The moment Shadhu activated the star compass, a strange force enveloped it. Under the influence of this strange force, Wang Lin immediately felt his consciousness seemingly merge into it. Not only him, but Hong Dai and Shadhu's consciousness were also within it. The consciousness of all three was contained within this strange force. Hong Dai, Brother Zheng, don't be afraid. The compass's normal power in the void world is such that the three of us can't talk. Here, we can only communicate using our consciousness. A divine thought was transmitted from within Shadhu's consciousness. Brother Zheng, this is the star map. After you memorize it, let your soul refining spread out. If you see anything unusual, quickly inform me. A map formed from many points appeared within the strange flow of energy. Wang Lin immediately noticed it. Without saying a word, he pressed his right hand to his forehead. Immediately, 1/3 of the wandering souls from his forehead shot out, flying around to explore the situation outside. This star compass is truly miraculous. This is a necessary magic weapon for traveling in the starry sky. Later, if I have the opportunity, I will definitely find one. It's just a pity that I have the method to make it, but lack the materials. How wonderful it would be if I could forge one myself. Wang Lin felt very interested in the star compass. The speed of this compass exceeded his imagination. In an instant, it was gone without a trace. It seemed to vanish into the void. Thousands of wandering souls flew around the compass. For them, moving through the void was like a fish in water, slowly dispersing. Wang Lin's divine consciousness didn't spread out. But because he had a connection with the wandering souls, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed. Something unusual is happening 10 miles ahead. Wang Lin immediately transmitted a divine thought. In front of the compass, there was a huge creature slowly moving. It resembled a giant octopus with countless tentacles waving around its body. A wandering soul, having just approached, was struck by a tentacle and vanished into thin air. Wang Lin took a deep breath and used his divine sense to transmit the scene that had just occurred. Shadhu didn't say a word, immediately controlling the compass to change direction and swerve to the side. As it passed by, a tentacle swept past right next to it. Boom! The compass was struck violently and hurtled violently northward. Wang Lin only felt a very strong force transmitted to him. His internal organs seemed to have been struck by a powerful blow. Fresh blood surged to his throat, but he swallowed it back. The compass spun, and in an instant, it flew far away. Chihu's face turned red, blood gushing from the corners of his mouth. His eyes were bloodshot, and he let out a loud scream. After a long time, he gradually stabilized the compass. His whole body felt completely drained of strength, and he gasped for breath as he took a pill from his storage bag and swallowed it. Hong Dai was also somewhat bewildered, her eyes showing fear. After an unknown amount of time, Chihu finally breathed a sigh of relief. He transmitted a divine thought. Fortunately, Brother Zheng discovered it early. Otherwise, I'm afraid the three of us would have perished here. What kind of monstrous thing was that? Hong Dai asked. I don't know about this thing either. The power of the creatures living in the void immortal realm is beyond our imagination. Just now, a slight movement of one of its tentacles almost cost us our lives here. Shadhu said, still feeling terrified. Its name is Void, Wang Lin said calmly. Brother Zheng, you know about this creature too? Shadhu asked in surprise. Void belongs to the category of minor destruction creatures. It devours the earth to survive and lives on yin energy. In ancient times, cultivators needed dozens of people fighting together to defeat it, Wang Lin said. The ancient god Tut's memories described this creature. Its body possesses 3 treasures. First, its tentacles are high-grade refining materials. Second, its brain. If swallowed, it can increase lifespan. Third, its inner core. This is a rare self-cultivating treasure in the heavens and earth. If swallowed, it could increase one's strength by tens of thousands of pounds. The ancient god tribe greatly admired this creature. After all, the strength they cultivated was their physical body. Wang Lin didn't mention this information. Brother Zheng is truly a man of profound knowledge. I admire you, Shadhu said. Who knows if that's true or false? It's just a name I made up, Hong Dai snorted coldly. Wang Lin calmly said, idiot. You. Hong Dai's eyes flickered. Shadhu, with a headache, was about to speak when Wang Lin said, this creature normally retracts its tentacles, only opening them when hunting. Brother Hu, fly north quickly. When this creature hunts, it releases a kind of red color. It's not something we can resist. Shan-hu was stunned. Continuing north now would lead to complete disorientation. This made him hesitate. In truth, he also doubted what Wang Lin had just said, but he couldn't say it as bluntly as Hong Dai. Wang Lin sighed inwardly, stood up without a word, and instantly leapt out of the compass. The forbidden banner immediately enveloped his entire body, heading north. "Brother Zhang!" Shan-hu exclaimed in surprise. "It's good that he left. I don't believe he really knows about that creature," Hong Dai said coldly. Shan-hu frowned. To find some reassurance, he gritted his teeth and risked spreading his divine consciousness to fly south. Not long after, his expression changed when he saw a red stream of energy rapidly spreading in the distance, attacking. Shan-hu was astonished and panicked. Without a word, he controlled the compass and quickly flew north. Hong Dai was also stunned, her face contorted into an unsightly grimace as her divine consciousness swept across the area. After Wang Lin left the compass, he quickly flew north. Although he didn't know the power of that energy, it was clearly recorded in the memories of the ancient god Tut. Therefore, without hesitation, he left the compass and flew away alone. Jihu's face darkened, and he quickly controlled the compass to fly away. But that extremely terrifying energy seemed to arrive in an instant. Crack! In the moment of contact with the energy, a corner of the compass disappeared abnormally, as if it had been devoured alive. The compass shook violently, causing Jihu to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. Even Hong Dai's face turned red. "Hong Dai, attack!" I poured all my strength into controlling the compass. "There's no way to use magic to resist," Jihu said, his forehead covered in sweat, filled with immense regret. She should have listened to Zhang Niu's advice. Otherwise, with the speed of the compass, she wouldn't be in this predicament now. Hong Dai didn't say a word, but pointed to her forehead. The rose reappeared. Her right hand quickly plucked 2 petals and threw them into the red stream of energy. Bang, bang! 2 earth-shattering explosions rang out. The red stream of energy immediately stopped and then exploded in all directions. Hong Dai spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Taking advantage of the momentary pause in the energy, Shan-hu's eyes turned bloodshot, frantically controlling the compass, and rushed out. However, the danger was not yet over. The red stream of energy was pierced by the rose petals, creating a hole. But now the hole was like a gaping mouth, flying rapidly towards the compass. Boom! The large mouth closed. The compass trembled again. Cracks appeared on its surface. Shan-hu seemed to give up, and Hong Dai's face turned pale. Boom! Once again, it swallowed. This time, it was only a little bit away. Hong Dai bit her lip, plucked a rose stamen, and launched it into the swirling air. Bang, bang, bang! Terrifying sounds erupted, clearly audible even to Wang Lin in the distance. He sneered, his speed increasing even further. The large mouth formed by the air dissipated. Finally, Luo Pen flew out, transforming into a shooting star and hurtling north. Hong Dai's expression turned grim. She could replenish the petals, but there were only 3 stamens. Losing one was impossible to compensate for. Wang Lin, who was flying, suddenly stopped in midair. His gaze fell back. Soon, he saw Luo Pen struggling to reach him. From afar, Jihu saw Wang Lin and couldn't help but laugh heartily. Now, in his heart, Wang Lin was more useful than Hong Dai. He took a deep breath, and Luo Pen stopped in front of Wang Lin, saying with a wry smile, "Brother Zhang, come up here before we talk." Wang Lin didn't hesitate, quickly landing on the east side of the compass and sitting cross-legged. The compass had now lost 1 corner, leaving only 3, east, west, and north. "Brother Zhang, I know I was wrong. I wonder what tricks that creature will pull after that red stream of energy. Where should we go next?" Shan-hu said somewhat shamefully. Hong Dai's expression was grim. She remained silent. "Since we've avoided the energy, there shouldn't be any major obstacles for a short time. Brother Shan-hu, just follow the directions on the map and fly accordingly," Wang Lin said calmly. Shan-hu nodded bitterly, secretly blaming himself. He should have acted faster, otherwise, with the compass damaged, he feared it wouldn't last long. Several days later, Shan-hu found a point on the map. Then, the compass quickly flew along according to the map's directions. Throughout the journey, Hong Dai remained silent, letting Wang Lin lead the way. Shan-hu no longer doubted Wang Lin's words and followed his lead. The void world contained all kinds of living creatures. Along the way, Wang Lin gained a great deal of new knowledge. He saw many of the strange creatures mentioned in the memories of the ancient god Tut, one by one. Under his guidance, the compass avoided most of the dangers lurking in the void world. The distance to their goal was getting closer and closer. The journey in this void world consumed a lot of time. Those strange creatures weren't encountered everywhere. Up to now, more than 10 days had passed without encountering a single dangerous creature. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the compass, occasionally discussing with Shad Hu. Thanks to this, both sides achieved many good results. Our giant demon clan wasn't originally from the Vermilion Bird clan. Many years ago, our ancestors moved here. Therefore, some of our divine abilities are different from yours, Shad Hu said with a smile. Wang Lin nodded. Time flew by. Today, Wang Lin was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, controlling his wandering soul when he suddenly opened his eyes wide and looked into the distance. Thanks to his wandering soul, he saw a large floating object several meters in size in the distance. Looking at this floating object, it seemed to be a large stone emitting a purple gold light. Golden purple stone. Wang Lin suddenly exclaimed in shock. In the memories of the ancient god diagram, among the materials used to create the compass, there was one indispensable item, golden purple stone. If he hadn't seen the compass, he certainly wouldn't have been tempted. But now his eyes flickered, and he stood up, calmly saying, Brother Shad Hu, please wait a moment. I found a material for refining a weapon. It's not too late to continue after I get it. Without waiting for a reply, he moved his body and flew towards the golden purple stone. That year, when Hua Fan comprehended the heavenly Tao, he met a senior who called himself Taiyunzi. This person said that if he could leave Dukyu Star, he should go to Taiyun Star to find him. At that time, he would take him as a registered disciple for 100 years. This person's cultivation is obviously divine. I cannot miss this opportunity. This star compass must be obtained, Wang Lin thought to himself. His speed was very fast, and before long he arrived at the golden stone. Looking at the entire block of golden stone, Wang Lin took a deep breath and put it into his storage bag. Only then did he turn around and return. At the compass, Chi Hu asked what materials he had obtained. Wang Lin smiled and said nothing. Another month passed, and Wang Lin constantly observed his surroundings, but unfortunately, he did not find any materials. One day, the flying compass suddenly shook violently. A crack suddenly appeared and quickly spread. At the same time, a massive surge of resistance appeared, throwing the three of them off the compass. Two of you, the compass is severely damaged and can't fly any further. We'll have to rely on our magical power to fly. Fortunately, it's not far off. With all our might, we'll arrive in 3 days. Shad Hu forced a smile, lightly flicking his right hand, and the compass immediately shrunk in his hand. 3 days passed in a flash. Today, from afar, Wang Lin saw the continent. This was the first layer of the immortal realm fragments. There wasn't a single blade of grass on the ground. Everywhere were bottomless pits. In the sky, there were many cracks. These cracks connected in a continuous line and disappeared into the air. Occasionally, some dilapidated structures could be seen. That's right, this is the first layer that the ancestor described, Shad Hu said, his eyes brightening after arriving. Then he bowed his head and muttered calculations. His divine consciousness spread out, seemingly searching for a specific location. Wang Lin frowned, observing his surroundings, and suddenly said, Brother Shad Hu, the marked location in the jade slip is the location of the overlapping layers of shattered fragments. I wonder which layer it is. Hong Dai, who hadn't spoken a word for the past few days, now snorted softly, nonsense. It's obviously the second layer. It's already difficult for 2 layers of shattered fragments to appear in this immortal realm. Wang Lin's eyes widened slightly, and he coldly said, Idiot. Being called an idiot again, Hong Dai's eyes blazed with killing intent as she glared at Wang Lin. Shad Hu quickly looked up and said, Brother Zhang. It's indeed the second layer, but according to the judgment of our Jizu clan, there might be a 3rd layer below. Hong Di was stunned, her eyes flashing, and she remained silent in contemplation. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He felt something was amiss. Earlier, he seemed to have sensed someone following him. This feeling was extremely strange, completely unrelated to his cultivation. The sense of danger he possessed was formed from years of killing. Found it, follow me. After a long while, Jihu's body moved and he flew forward. Very quickly, the three of them landed in a location to the northeast. This is the place. The ancestor left a plum blossom mark here all those years ago. Moreover, he recorded the calculation method for finding it very clearly. That's right. Jihu's face lit up with joy as he landed beside a very deep pit. Wang Lin lowered his head and looked around the pit. Sure enough, there was a plum blossom mark. Jihu jumped into the middle of the pit and looked at Wang Lin, who was following closely behind. Wang Lin's divine consciousness swept across the bottomless pit, pondered for a moment, then jumped inside. Not long after the three entered, the middle-aged man holding the gourd also arrived beside the pit. He took a sip of wine, and with a flick of his hand, a pagoda appeared. The corpse of a woman in white flew out and was embraced by him. He looked at the corpse and shook his head, muttering to himself, "Dinger. I'm afraid these juniors have wasted their efforts." The immortal jade coffin has long been transformed into a pagoda by me. It's a pity. She has absorbed quite a bit from the immortal jade coffin over the past few thousand years. Rest assured, I will go find more immortal treasures. Perhaps there will be immortal treasures on the 3rd level. After saying this, he gently kissed the forehead of the corpse. At that moment, his expression suddenly changed, and with a wave of his hands, the corpse and the pagoda suddenly disappeared. Then he looked up at the sky. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the void, and a figure emerged from the cracks. This person had snow-white hair and wrinkled skin, but moved with incredible speed, instantly stepping out of the fissures. Damn it, this cursed place has exhausted me. It seems I've turned every single floor upside down, yet I haven't found a single immortal's corpse. He sighed, then descended from the sky, immediately spotting the middle-aged man and couldn't help but chuckle. Hello, hello. The middle-aged man frowned. Among those from Vermilion Bird Star, only this old man commanded his respect. He could tell that the old man's cultivation level was the same as his own mid-stage nascent soul. But with his years of experience, he had never encountered this person before. Nascent soul cultivators were rare on Vermilion Bird Star, so the middle-aged man was confident he knew them all. He glanced at the old man, then turned and jumped into the deep cave without saying a word. Ah, how impolite. The old man rubbed his nose. Watching the middle-aged man jump into the deep pit, he was about to leave when suddenly his nose twitched, sniffing around. Ah, death aura. It's definitely death aura, the smell of an immortal's corpse. I'm sure I didn't mishear. It's a female corpse. Haha, a female corpse is even better, even better. The old man's eyes lit up as he looked around. Suddenly, he stared intently at the middle-aged man who had jumped into the cave. His body flashed, and he quickly jumped in as well. This way I can complete the sect master's mission, and I can leave this damn place and return to the Vermilion Bird Star. The sect master is strange. In Aryan sect, what do we not have? Why does he insist on an immortal's corpse? I wonder what planet has such peculiar tastes. The old man's face lit up with joy as he thought to himself. The three of them, including Wang Lin, flew very fast, continuously falling after entering the cave. They didn't know how much time had passed, but they still hadn't reached the bottom. The deeper they went, the stronger the resistance became. This is the place. After we descend, we can enter the area marked by the jade slip. However, there are some restrictions there, but with the strength of the three of us, we can open them in a few days. Shathu's voice was filled with joy. The further they went, the greater the resistance became. At this point, the resistance reached a certain level, causing their speed to decrease. After a while, the resistance grew even stronger. Wang Lin took a deep breath, circulating his spiritual power throughout his body to resist the resistance. He secretly calculated that they had descended over 10,000 feet, but unexpectedly, they still hadn't reached the bottom. His divine sense probed downwards, but there was a mysterious force that limited his divine sense to a range of only 1,000 feet. Wang Lin looked at Hong Dai. A blue light emanated from her, her expression unchanged. As for Jihu, the mark of an axe lit up on his forehead. Each time it lit up, the external resistance around his body lessened, truly miraculous. Time slowly passed, and after an unknown amount of time, Jihu, walking ahead, suddenly shouted in astonishment, "We've arrived!" Wang Lin's spirit was shaken, resisting the pressure. He lightly patted his storage bag, took out the forbidden spanner, and quickly rushed forward. Almost simultaneously, all three rushed to the bottom of the cave. In that instant, a flash of light appeared before Wang Lin, like thousands of sharp points piercing his eyes. The Forbidden's banner in his hand vibrated, instantly enveloping his entire body, relieving the pain in his eyes. With a glance, his expression changed. This place wasn't large, only about 100 feet wide. In the middle was indeed a pool of water. It's just there's absolutely no jade coffin on the pond water, let alone the jade slip imprint and the 3 immortal swords on the coffin. As for spiritual herbs, there isn't a single one. Besides the lack of treasures, this place is exactly as described in the jade slip. Shathu stared blankly at the scene before him, his mind a blank. He had damaged the star compass just to finally get here. But he couldn't have imagined such an outcome. Hong Dai laughed coldly, mixed with anger, saying, "Shathu, is this the place you were talking about? I had to use even flower petals to enter a place like this? If you don't answer me today, I won't let this go, W." Lin looked around, unable to help but smiled bitterly. He wasn't as angry as Hong Dai. After all, he hadn't suffered any losses along the way, and had even obtained a piece of golden stone, so he had profited. Thinking this, he flew forward, searching thoroughly around. Hong Dai's eyes showed clear anger, and she also quickly searched around hoping to find some treasure. Shathu stared blankly at the scene before him, muttering, "How could this happen? Impossible. Could it be that someone came here after the ancestor discovered this place and took the treasure? That's right, it must be." He shook his head bitterly, saying to Wang Lin and Hong Dai, who were trying to search around, "Two of you. This was my mistake. I didn't expect things to turn out like this." Hong Dai seemed about to erupt in anger. She turned her head and stared at Shathu, speaking clearly, word by word. "Can a single careless remark compensate for the loss of my flower pistol? Shathu, I see you already knew this. I suspect you deliberately used my strength along the way to get here for your own purposes. If you don't explain clearly today, don't blame me, Hong Dai, for forgetting our friendship of all these years." Wang Lin remained calm, carefully searching everything, but unfortunately, he found nothing. Finally, his gaze fell on Tan Shui, carefully examining it. Tan Shui was pitch black, bottomless. Shathu's expression changed drastically upon hearing Hong Dai's words, but he suppressed his anger and said in a low voice, "Hong Dai, I will settle this matter with you after we return to GQ Star. But you say I have ulterior motives. That's absolutely not true. I, Shathu, as a minor clan leader of the giant demon clan, may not be as noble as you, but I am a man of my word." Hong Dai chuckled coldly, about to say something. Just then, Wang Lin suddenly said, "Xiaohu, is there still a third level here?" Xiaohu was startled, his eyes immediately brightening. He said, "Brother Zhang Niu, my Jizu clan has analyzed it before. There might be a third level, Jizu." "Jizu, you said there were treasures on this second level," Hong Dai said sarcastically. Xiaohu's gaze darkened as he stared at Hong Dai for a long time. Then he took a deep breath, turned and walked towards Wang Lin, his eyes fixed on the water pool. "If there really is a third level, then this is the entrance," Wang Lin said slowly. Hong Dai snorted softly, moving forward to look at the pool. At that moment, a figure suddenly flew down from the passage above. As soon as he appeared, the man immediately landed in front of them. While Wang Lin was still dazed, he was already standing above the water pool. A powerful force emanated from his body, causing Chihu's face to turn pale, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, his body instantly pushed backward. Hongdi was also forced to retreat by a shout, her face showing clear fear. Wang Lin had always been vigilant. He had long known that someone was following him. Now, the moment the opponent appeared, he immediately retreated. Although he was also affected by the opponent's force, he was not injured, only his face turned red, and he retreated several meters. The man looked at Wang Lin, then took a sip from the gourd in his hand. "5 elements sect," Zhou Yi Shehu said. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Little brat from the giant demon clan, do you know me?" Upon hearing the name Qi, Hong Deep's face instantly changed color, her eyes revealing deep disgust. Shathu hurriedly and respectfully said, "Junior Shathu of the giant demon clan greets senior. Your reputation has been like thunder in my ears since I was a child." He himself, as the young clan leader of the giant demon clan, had received a thorough education since childhood. He had seen all the paintings of cultivators in the transformation stage on the Vermilion Bird Star. Now, seeing the red gourd, he immediately recognized the other party, especially since Chi had a very peculiar hobby that was later verified as true. Shadhu obviously had a very deep impression of that peculiar hobby. The middle-aged man smiled, his eyes glancing at Hong Dai and finally at Wang Lin. "You're quite quick-witted, young man. Perhaps you noticed it early on along the way." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, and he respectfully said, "I only sensed it. I can't confirm it at all." Shadhu and Hong Dai's words reached their ears, causing their expressions to become somewhat strange. "The jade coffin here has been taken by me. The three of you should go back," the middle-aged man said. Shadhu smiled bitterly and hastily nodded in agreement. Hong Dai's eyes flashed towards the water pool without saying a word. The middle-aged man's face showed a hint of a smile as he said, "There really is a third level here. If you're not afraid of death, give it a try. The entrance is the water pool." Just then, sounds of something breaking through the air came from the cave entrance above. In an instant, a figure descended. Haha, quite a commotion. The figure stopped in midair. It was the old man with hair as white as snow. The middle-aged man's eyes immediately darkened as he stared at the old man, saying, "What are your intentions in following me here?" The old man laughed heartily, saying, "I have no ulterior motive. I'm just a little interested in the third level here." "What, you won't let me in?" The middle-aged man snorted coldly, pondered for a moment, then took a step without saying a word. Bang! His body plunged into the pool. Immediately, the pool opened, revealing a cave at the bottom. The middle-aged man's body moved slightly, like a flash of lightning. He slipped inside. The old man's eyes flickered, following closely behind. Hong Dai gritted her teeth. This time she had suffered a great loss. If she didn't gain anything, she would be truly unwilling, so she also slipped into the cave. Even if it was a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, she would definitely go in. Shadhu looked at Wang Lin, smiling wryly, rather saying, "Do you also want to explore or leave?" Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He didn't answer, but instead asked a question in return. "Brother Shadhu, who is Chi?" Shadhu's expression turned strange. After hesitating for a long time, he didn't speak but used telepathic communication to say, "Brother Zhang. This person is the old monster of the transformation realm from our Vermilion Bird Star. His cultivation is unfathomable. Moreover, he has a peculiar hobby. He likes corpses." Likes corpses. Wang Lin was stunned. "Don't say it so loudly. If he hears it, there's only one way to die." Shadhu said hastily, then clenched his fist and continued, "Brother Zhang wants to go see. Why don't we go together?" Wang Lin pondered for a moment and then nodded. The two flew into the cave beneath the water pool one after the other. The cave in the water pool wasn't deep, and their figures moved very quickly, so they soon passed through. When they emerged, they were faced with a world like crystal. Everywhere were sharp, white glass pillars, like sword tips, spewing out streams of immortal energy. A hazy mist emanated from these glass pillars. In the distance, Hong Dai held a gourd in her hand, hastily collecting immortal energy. Shadhu's face showed joy. Without a word, he potted his storage bag. He took out a green cloth bag, which vibrated and absorbed a large amount of immortal energy. He then lowered his body and patted a glass pillar, but only heard a metallic sound. The glass remained unmoved. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he also took out a piece of spirit-absorbing wood, beginning to absorb the surrounding immortal energy. The three of them, without a word, poured all their energy into absorbing the immortal energy. Wang Lin's spirit-absorbing wood was clearly not as miraculous as Shadhu's treasure. Its speed was noticeably slower. But soon after, suddenly, extremely loud sounds came from afar. The voice of the middle-aged man, Chi. "Old man, don't push your luck. There's so much immortal energy here. Why don't you absorb it instead of following me? You have death energy on you. Obviously, I want to follow you." While the two were talking, a rainbow appeared, one after the other, flying like arrows towards the three of them, including Wang Lin. In an instant, they were in front of them. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed, his right hand retracted and then grabbed behind him. Immediately, a huge vortex appeared behind him, and in a flash, an immense suction force was released. The glass on the ground immediately made cracking sounds, and cracks could be seen appearing. A large amount of broken glass flew out and was absorbed into the vortex. The old man standing behind the middle-aged man's expression changed slightly, and his hands quickly changed into incantations. Immediately, a massive coffin appeared behind him. The coffin was a purplish-pink color. The old man leapt onto the coffin, finally resisting the gravitational pull of the whirlwind. As the two of them unleashed their magic, the immortal energy there instantly became chaotic. Spirit Master, haha, so you're Chi, the one who likes corpses. No wonder you reek of death. The old man stared at the whirlwind and laughed loudly. Then he lightly tapped the coffin below, and immediately the coffin emitted sounds like fingernails scraping against its surface. The sound was extremely harsh, as if it contained an extremely powerful force. Along with that, a stream of black energy flew out from the coffin, transforming into a huge demonic claw. The pitch-black demonic claw flashed and grabbed the whirlwind. Bang! A terrifying explosion resounded, shaking the entire third layer of the immortal realm. The ground quickly cracked open. Numerous pieces of glass instantly turned to dust, and cracks appeared densely in the air. A large amount of immortal energy dissipated from these cracks. It seemed that in an instant, not a trace of immortal energy remained. The Yin sect, you are indeed the grand elder of the Yin sect. If we were to fight here, this layer of shattered fragments would shatter. Once the fragments shatter, with our cultivation levels, we might be able to escape. But let me tell you, there are 6 layers of shattered fragments stacked on top of each other. If one of them completely shatters, the others will also shatter. At that point, even a peak-level cultivator wouldn't be able to escape, Chi said with a grim expression. The old man's expression changed, his eyes flickered, and his body suddenly disappeared from the coffin. After reappearing, he stood behind Hong Dai. Hong Deep turned around in surprise. The old man smiled at her, his cheerful expression tinged with sinister intent. Little girl, I'll borrow you for a moment. Suddenly, several streams of energy, like tiny snakes, emerged from the old man's 7 orifices, swiftly entering Hong Deep's 7 orifices. For the first time, fear was evident on Hong Deep's face. Knowing that struggling was futile, she quickly raised her right hand, revealing a jade bracelet, and said sharply, "Senior, do you recognize this, the symbol of a core disciple of the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, a primordial opening bracelet?" The old man's eyes widened. At this moment, the tiny snakes had entered Hong Deep's 7 orifices. Her face turned a ghastly green, and she struggled, saying, "Senior, this bracelet is intimately connected to my primordial spirit. If I die, it will explode instantly. Then this fragmented immortal realm will also explode, and you won't escape either. Moreover, even if you escape, you won't have anywhere to hide. This ring is a criterion for core disciples of the Vermilion Bird Star. Anyone who possesses this ring and is killed will be targeted by the Vermilion Bird Kingdom using special methods to find the culprit. At that time, you will be hunted down by the Vermilion Bird Star." The old man frowned and snorted softly, "Little girl, rest assured, I won't kill you." After saying that, he looked up at Chi and said, "Chi, using this woman's body to fight you won't exceed the limits of my attack. You should also fight with one person." Chi's face darkened, and he said, "What do you ultimately want?" The old man sneered, "I can't be mistaken about the immortal's corpse on you. I want that corpse." Touching that will enrage the dragon with reverse scales. For Chi, his reverse scale was that female corpse. "Dinger, someone's come to steal you again. All those who want to steal you must die, die, die." Chi's eyes flashed with a strange light as he stared at the old man, then pointed his right hand at Chihu, saying, "You, come here." Chihu's face turned very ugly. He hesitated for a long time, not daring to disobey, and only sighed as he flew towards Chi. Standing beside Chi, he didn't know what kind of divine magic he had unleashed. He sat cross-legged in the air, and a huge 7-colored rainbow appeared above his head and landed on Chihu's head. Immediately, Chihu's eyes showed resistance. "Be my clone once. As long as you obey, you will not only not die, but also be able to comprehend my intent realm," Chi said calmly. Chihu hesitated, then stopped resisting. Very quickly, his eyes grew brighter and brighter, and the aura around his entire body surged. "Haha, this brat. I chose a 5-spirit innate body. You chose an ancient giant demon bloodline. Only one ordinary person remains. Keeping him around is useless. Get out! The old man laughed loudly, then glared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He calmly looked at the old man and, without saying a word, turned and walked straight away. He didn't want to be implicated, so he obviously didn't want to waste any more words now that he could leave. Senior, kill him. If you kill him, I won't resist and will do my best to help you. But you must guarantee my safety, Hong Dai said with a malicious glint in her eyes. The old man snorted softly, his eyes flickering, and raised his right hand to grab Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, and he rotated his right hand. The damaged Forbidden's banner was now in his hand, and he sarcastically said, Hong Dai, if you want this place to explode, then try it. Forbidden's banner. The old man's eyes lit up, staring intently at the small banner in Wang Lin's hand, and immediately took a deep breath. Only one more forbidden seal is needed to reach 99 ancestral formations. This person is not wrong. Once 99 ancestral formations are reached, it can trigger a heavenly tribulation. In the immortal realm, a heavenly tribulation is a tribulation of immortality. Its power no one here can survive. Even he would perish. The old man's eyes showed clear apprehension, and he immediately withdrew his right hand. Wang Lin's gaze was calm, stopping beside the passage leading upwards, looking at the four people standing in the distance. I'm standing here to see how the transformation stage cultivators fight. His eyes grew brighter, and finally, with a loud shout, his body suddenly emitted cracking sounds and swelled up several times its original size, reaching a height of about 3 jiang, seemingly a giant made of iron. The veins on his body bulged like worms, making him look like a demon god. Behind him appeared a phantom image, which gradually solidified. This was clearly the middle-aged Qi. Qi's true form was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed behind him. As for Hong Dai, her face was now covered in a dark purple hue, completely obscuring her features, only 2 streams of red light emanating from her eyes. Her hair tie had come undone, and her long locks of hair fluttered even without wind. A deathly aura emanated from her body, and behind her, another phantom image appeared. This phantom image was not the old man, but a handsome and imposing young man. However, upon closer inspection, one could see that this man bore a striking resemblance to the old man, clearly his youthful appearance. At this moment, his body was enveloped in a black mist. His true form sat cross-legged on the large coffin behind him, eyes closed. Although the man's body was shrouded in mist, a strange pattern could be vaguely seen on it. This pattern depicted a horned monster, looking extremely ferocious. Shathu roared, his body suddenly moving. His massive body was incredibly agile, lightning fast, and his attack was frenzied. He clenched his hands, and a huge vortex appeared from the illusory figure behind him, instantly unleashing a terrifying suction force. The handsome and imposing man behind Hong Dai immediately formed hand seals, chanting incantations. At the same time, Hong Dai's hands also transformed according to the incantation, and waves of death energy quickly formed from her body, transforming into a longbow. In the instant Shathu roared and charged forward, Hong Dai's eyes flashed with light, and her hands began to draw the bow. In a flash, a stream of death energy transformed into an arrow and shot towards Shathu. Bang! The ground shook violently, but it didn't shatter over a large area. Evidently, the attack power of Shathu and Hong Dai was only at the late stage of the god transformation realm. However, this attack contained the laws of heaven and earth that had completely surpassed the god transformation realm. Shathu was pushed back dozens of meters, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. The illusory figure of the middle-aged man frowned slightly, his hands forming a hand seal, chanting incantations to control Shathu's movements, uttering strange spells. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and strange streams of energy flew out from cracks in the sky, quickly condensing in front of Shathu. In an instant, a huge sphere appeared before him, emanating endless waves of energy. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he watched the scene unfolding before him, seemingly realizing something. The power that propelled heaven and earth was clearly a technique of borrowing force. The handsome and imposing man behind Hong Dai's eyes lit up, and the illusory figure suddenly transformed into wisps of green smoke, all entering Hong Dai's spiritual essence. Unconsciously, Hong Dai let out a series of agonizing screams, her body trembling. But immediately, 4 spiritual bodies of different colors shot out from within her, blocking her path. Why is one earth spirit missing? A simple, masculine voice emanated from Hong Dai's body. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he saw these four spiritual bodies. He remained silent, deep in thought. After the four spirit bodies appeared before Hong Dai, Chi Hu suddenly roared, his face contorted with pain. A pattern resembling an axe continuously lit up on his forehead, its speed increasing rapidly. Finally, it burst forth violently, merging with the large sphere before him. The sphere instantly vibrated and moved strangely, its shape changing into a heaven-opening axe. At this moment, the pores all over Shadhu's body emitted a bang-bang sound, and he spat out a large amount of fresh blood, making him look like a blood-soaked figure. He gripped the axe tightly and took a long stride towards Hong Dai. My intent is see, one can be infatuated with love, and naturally, one can be extremely passionate with intent. The intent can shake heaven and earth. Shadhu, I will borrow your body this time to let you experience my intent accumulated over thousands of years. If you die, at least your eyes will be opened. The illusory figure behind Shadhu spoke slowly. A strange aura of intent immediately appeared on Shadhu's body. Shadhu's face no longer showed pain. Instead, it revealed a crazed, warlike ferocity that was terrifying to behold. His eyes revealed unwavering determination. His gaze completely ignored Han Dai, instead fixed intently on the axe in his hand. Sometimes, obsession isn't entirely about the person, but about the object. Shadhu's obsession was this axe. His Tao heart at this moment was this axe. As long as this axe didn't break, his battle soul couldn't be destroyed. This unwavering determination transformed into immense battle intent. Shadhu, holding the axe firmly, seemed like a giant in the heavens and earth, ready to create a new world. Obsession is also an obsession, and the belief in that obsession is Chi's realm of thought. How bizarre. The obsession erupted with aura, giving Shadhu, a cultivator at the nascent soul stage, the aura of a celestial slayer. Wang Lin's eyes showed astonishment. This obsession contained a true meaning. The dark light in Hong Dai's eyes blazed brightly. Suddenly, she pointed a finger at her forehead, and a rose instantly appeared, but this time it was no longer pink, but black. Above this black rose were two stamens. Without hesitation, she made all the petals burst open, merging with the four spirits of heaven and earth to form an extremely ferocious whirlwind. At the same time, a wisp of smoke suddenly shot out from Hong Dai's forehead. As soon as the smoke appeared, it transformed into a handsome and majestic man. He moved and entered the whirlwind, merging with the handsome and majestic man amidst the rumbling sounds. From within those rumbling sounds, a single-horned demon suddenly emerged, letting out roars. Hong Dai's body trembled. After the handsome and majestic man left her body, she involuntarily took several steps back. The dark aura on its face completely vanished, and the terrifying expression on its pale face instantly returned to its senses. When Shadhu's axe struck, creating a long streak of light in midair, the demonic creature once again roared and swung its claws in resistance. Bang! The axe struck by the demonic creature's claws, scattered countless black petals. Shadhu's eyes blazed with intense ferocity as he continued his attack. Bang! The creature's claws shattered, revealing two flower stamens. Bang! 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 3 consecutive axe blows completely destroyed the stamens. Accompanying Shadhu's axe strikes were the creature's screams and the shattering of its horns, turning them into tiny red specks of light. The creature then vanished into nothingness. At this moment, the old man sitting cross-legged on the coffin also vomited black blood in terror, his body trembling and slumping, seemingly devoid of any magical power. Shadhu's body trembled, staring blankly at his empty right hand. His mind was focused on the heaven-opening axe, his fighting spirit stemmed from it, and his Tao heart was also the heaven-opening axe. When the axe shattered, Siyi, aided by Chi, also disintegrated with it. Shadhu's eyes lit up, but he immediately let out a heart-wrenching cry.